Yo,
TikTok, time to rock.
yo, yo, yo.
Good evening. We got the sound check with AP. AP, sound check.
Yes.
Check it.
Check, 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 check. Okay.
All right. So,
Good. That was good.
good evening, good
That was- that
afternoon,
was
good morning to everyone who's watching from all around the world. I'm your friendly neighborhood philosopher, David Wood. With me now, two special guests. We've got the Marvel team up here. Christians, atheists, everyone united under the banner of "We do not want to be controlled by that." whatever else happens, we do not want to be controlled by one certain thing. And so that unites. Think about that. See, Islam is actually uniting people
Yeah.
against it. That's some interesting stuff. All right. I'm sure most of the people here know both you, but just in case we have someone who doesn't, AP, why don't you give an introduction?
I am Apostate Prophet. That's my real name. Just kidding. That's not my real name. It's my real name is Ridvan Aydemir. I'm the Apostate Prophet. You should know me. If you don't know me, then you shouldn't be using YouTube. If you're subscribed to David Wood, then you should be subscribed to me too. My content is better than David Wood's content. I'm an ex-Muslim. I live in America. I'm from Germany and Turkey, and yeah, that's what I am.
And Abdullah, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, sir. So, ex-Muslim, I'm in Canada. I go by Abdullah Sameer. And what can I say? I used to be in I've been in two different sects in Islam, and now I'm atheist. So, that's me.
All right. And the reason I definitely wanted to have you guys on is because some recent events, which we'll get to in a moment. My goodness, there are a lot of people in the chat talking about golden showers. I don't know what they mean. But for some reason people are referring to golden shower boy. Who in the world could they be talking about there? I don't know. Maybe they'll explain it later. But one of the things that's happened is, and which we'll be focusing on here, is Mohammed Hijab, of course, has decided to start heaping abuse on people in some ways that most people would find very, very, very inappropriate. And his justification is, well, they heap abuse on the Prophet, and so they kind of deserve what they get, and this is the best way to go about it. And you'd think people wouldn't want to get on the same page with him on that, but I see a lot of people supporting him. So before we actually get into that, Abdullah, why do you criticize, of all the things you could be doing in this world, why do you dedicate time to criticizing Muhammad and the Quran?
Well, it's simple. Islam has a lot of very bad ideas in it. I don't think it's a motherload of bad ideas, but I definitely think there's truckloads of bad ideas in Islam. When it comes to women's rights, it comes to the rights of minorities, when it comes to freedom of religion, freedom of expression, there's just so many things. And, I've seen two different sects in Islam. I've seen Ismailism, which is a very liberal sect, 5% of the population, something like 5 million in the world. And Ismailism is it's tolerant, and it's like it doesn't even register on the radar for harm compared to Sunni Islam, which is what I converted into. And I think the reason for that is because Ismailism is a modern sort of religion that has a living guide and all that, whereas Sunni Islam goes by what the Prophet said in the 7th century. So you have this 7th century sort of world that Muslims in some way or form are trying to bring back in today's world, and that's where the problems are. There's just a lot of dissonance there between what the world we live in and the world that Muhammad lived in, and the world created by the scholars of Islam over the years. So this is why I talk about this thing, because I spent a big part of my life being a Sunni Muslim, and when I was Sunni, I made a lot of sacrifices. I gave up a lot of things. My whole life is different because of Islam. And I just don't want other people to make the same mistake, which is why I created the YouTube channel, which is why I have my blog. I don't want other people to give up, to make the same sacrifices that I made. And frankly, I think it's bad for the world. So we need to talk about it. If we don't talk about it, people are going to convert to Islam. And why are people converting to Islam? Because the image that's sold to them is an image, it's a sort of sanitized version. It's an image that, only the nice parts are kind of presented, and the not so nice parts you find out later when it's, once you've already converted to Islam, now you can't leave it, and now you're sold, you're told the rest of it. And, I think even most Muslims today, they don't really know the bad parts of Islam, which is, the things that Muhammad actually said and did back in the 7th century. That I think is worth talking about. And I think it's worth spending, those of us who have the ability, we have the freedom, we live in a country where I just said stay away from golden showers. We have the ability and the freedom to talk about these things. Then why don't we talk about these things? Why don't we make a change, be the change you want to be in the world, right?
So you doesn't sound like your goal is just to be as evil as possible.
Well, that too, yeah.
All right, same question to AP. AP, you have been putting out some very, very distasteful videos making fun of Muhammad for a long time. Of all the things that you've been doing, why would you do that?
Well, I spent many years of my life being raised as a Muslim, and I practiced Islam quite religiously and devoutly. And during those years of devotion, I realized one thing, which is that Islam is the only system in the world that has a very good sense of morality, and that gives humanity peace and tranquility. And I saw that people have to abide by this perfect morality in order to be better humans. And I thought to myself, I have to do 5 prayers a day. Can I do that? No, I'm too lazy. So I decided, well, I should just what should I do if I cannot pray? If I cannot do the 5 daily prayers, I should just declare that I no longer believe in Islam. So I started calling myself an ex-Muslim. And then I saw that there is money in this whole business, that if you declare yourself as an ex-Muslim, that people are going to pay you money, and especially Jews and Israel and stuff like that. So once I saw that opportunity, I decided to go out and make very distasteful and disrespectful videos about Muhammad and Islam and the Islamic community. I think I also had some special interest in simply disturbing humans and disturbing society and making society more corrupt. Spreading evil, spreading corruption in society. And I'm kind of getting a kick out of that right now. So, why not?
And for anyone who doesn't understand the sarcasm here, that's what the Apostate Prophet gets accused of, right? That both these guys, it's you couldn't handle the difficulties of Islam. You couldn't handle your daily prayers, and you realized you could make a lot of money if you went out and started attacking Islam and so on. I mean, my goodness, how rich would I be if I converted to Islam and came up with some bogus story about how it was after realizing that the Quran's been perfectly preserved right down to the letter, and here's my new book on all the evidence for Islam. I'd be a billionaire. I'd be an overnight billionaire.
They really make up these things like he just didn't want to pray the 5 daily prayers. He didn't want to fast. He didn't have the will to fast. He wanted to. This one guy, in fact, Ali Dawa said
he was saying that, right? You're weak. You're weak.
Well, yeah, he said he wanted to buy a house with interest, which is why he left Islam. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. That's a serious thing that he said. I wanted to buy a house with interest, which is why I left Islam. There are Muslims who do that stuff. Why would you leave Islam for this stuff? What kind of a ridiculous reason would that be to leave Islam?
But notice, because that goes back when Nabil left Islam and became a Christian. People who didn't know him were saying it's because he was paid by Jews. It's because of this. It was because of that. And both me and the Muslims who knew him and his family who knew him knew that was completely ridiculous. So they had to explain it in other ways. And so they explained it in terms of me being this master brainwasher and manipulator who manipulated him into belief. But notice, the answer can never, ever be, well, I looked into some things and I realized this is a bunch of nonsense and I'm not going to spend my life following it, a bunch of nonsense here. And so I left it. It can't be that because then people might want to wonder if it really is nonsense, and so they have to attribute it to some evil motive. It's for money. It's for it's because you're lazy. It has to be something like that.
Even if you did believe in Islam, you could argue for some reason that where it is about Islam. Even if you believe in Islam, even if you agree with it, you could still think, well, this aspect of Islam didn't agree with him, which is why he doesn't believe in Islam anymore. Sad, maybe he should reanalyze it and come back. No, it can never be Islam. It has nothing to do with Islam. Mm-hmm. It is always the person's personal interests and pleasure and ulterior motives and hostilities and evil and all that stuff. It's ridiculous.
All right, here's a quick question. It's directed towards me, but I'll give it to you, Abdullah. This one comes, and then we're basically gonna look at Hijab's Twitter page and discuss some of the tweets there. But quick question here from Original. He says, I have a question. Why are people still converting to Islam, and why is it growing so quickly if there's so many flaws in Islam? So why is Islam growing so rapidly if people like you notice so many problems in it?
Do you want me to answer? Who wants to answer?
I think
Let's get
things are changing. Yeah, things are changing for sure. The narrative, the world scientific miracles, the world Quran preservation. There's been a lot of changes like recently. Things that Muslims took for granted, like the scientific miracles, started in the 90s with the big Saudi conference. I forget the sheikh's name. There was a sheikh that Sheikh Zindani. He had this big conference where he got Keith Moore and all of these guys to come over, and he sort of tricked them into like saying a bunch of stuff about the Quran.
Wasn't he like buddies with Osama bin Laden or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. You mean the Sheikh? Yeah, not
yeah.
Keith Moore. Yeah. I thought you meant Keith Moore. No. Yeah, so, and apparently some of these geologists and embryologists and these people came and they didn't even realize that the words were going to be used to try to say the Quran's from God. And they were basically wined and dined, right? And then some of them like left that conference confused. Well, I grew up, I converted to Sunni Islam during that time when that narrative was strong. Mm-hmm. And it was accepted by people, and this was popular. Like Zakir Naik to this day is still using it. But many of the other scholars have stopped using it now. But at that time, it was like taken for granted. And now we have another big pillar that's falling, which is the Quran preservation. Yeah. The Quran preservation that everybody took for granted, that when I grew up, it was just like taken for granted. Every dot, every letter, every, syllable, everything is exactly the same from the time of Muhammad until now. And now we're starting to get a little bit of honesty from some of the scholars, and then obviously backtracking, and then, a little bit of honesty and then more backtracking. Yep. That there is holes in this narrative. Sure are. So I think there's a lot of dishonesty that's still there. I think there's a lot of misinformation. And things are going to change. But also, I think it's people are looking, some people just have holes in their lives or whatever. And I don't really understand. Like, if you're coming from, like, Christianity, for example, or any other religion, and I don't understand why people want to, maybe they just want something different. They can't find the goodness in their own community, in their own, like I talked to one guy just like that, where he was in Europe, and he's like, and he was Christian, and he became Muslim, and he almost became Muslim. And I asked him, like, why did it appeal to you? He's like, well, I saw a lot of arguments for one God and this and that, and that's what was presented to him. So he kind of went online and he saw like Hamza Sortis and these guys and how they make these like logical, deductive arguments for one God and whatever, and he was convinced by that. And so he began, and then when he saw my content and some other, ex-Muslims, he started to see the problems in Islam, and now he doesn't know what to do. But like in the beginning, he didn't see any of that other stuff. All he saw was the logical, deductive arguments for God, and he thought that, okay, well, one God, well, Islam has one God, so maybe Islam makes more sense, and that was the end of it. So maybe there's a lot of that too, and then maybe there's a lot of just misinformation about Islam being feminist or being pro-women, and I,
Man,
I don't know. Like,
me,
people don't. I think maybe people don't want to know, and they just want to be a part of something else. Who knows?
yeah, me and AP both laughed right when you said, well, one God and Islam has one God. And so it's just hilarious because I see so many people do that, right? Well, Islam preaches one God, and I believe one God is called monotheism. Why are you signing up for all that other stuff
Yeah.
that goes far beyond monotheism that you haven't bothered to look into? All right, so should we take a look at Mohammed Hijab's Twitter page?
I would like to add something. I don't.
Go.
Islam is not growing at all. People are not converting to Islam. Islam is not growing by conversion. There is a projected, research, the projected growth of Islam over the next 50 to 100 years, and I feel and I think, as I remember, the number of people who are supposed to convert to Islam. No,
It evens out, right? Like,
the positive growth is like there are like 3 million people convert to Islam in total if you add the positive and the negative, which is nothing like in 100 years. That's a ridiculously low number. The people don't convert to Islam in masses. There are the number of people converting to Islam and leaving Islam is about the same, and the issue here is that most people who convert to Islam, almost all of them make it public, whereas most people who leave Islam do that secretly. So you really have to take that into consideration. Islam is only the fastest growing religion right now because of its high birth rates, because Muslim culture, due to Islamic teachings, puts a lot of weight on turning women into baby factories that are just supposed to push out the new babies to further the Muslim population, because that is in alignment with Muhammad, the holy prophet, who said that he will in the afterlife be proud of the number of his followers, and that Muslims should procreate and make as many babies as possible, and that is what Islam is about. That's why it's growing. I have met several people who did convert, 2 or 3 personally. I've seen other people who do convert, and I have to say that there is a pattern. It's mostly not people. I wouldn't say everybody, but mostly people who convert are just people who are looking for something because things haven't really been great in their own lives, or because they have been looking they have been sick with cultural corruption, and they found that Islam, with its extremely regressive attitude and extreme authoritarianism, is somehow the answer to their anger against society, which is why they started following and practicing Islam. So it is a wicked mindset that you really need in order to get into.
And you mentioned that a lot of the people, and this would especially be true in Muslim countries, but even in the West, because people don't want to upset their families a lot. I hear from tons of people saying, I don't believe in Islam, but I'm still gonna be a Muslim as far as my family is concerned because of the damage it would do. But I guess that's part of the reason for the importance of what you guys do and the ex-Muslim community, because back in 2005, Nabil became a Christian. There were not a lot of public ex-Muslims, right? There were almost, I mean, it seemed like I could count on like 4 fingers the number of public ex-Muslims who are going around, whereas now they're everywhere. I can't go on my computer without running into 50 ex-Muslims.
Yeah.
And so, yep, it's cool that times
I
are changing.
I think those Pew numbers, those Pew polls, are all based on the current levels of apostasy, which are going to change.
Yeah, they are.
Like I said, a lot of the things
snowball.
things are the pillars of Islam, or whatever you want to call them, they're toppling. And so there's going to be a lot more people leaving Islam. There's going to be a lot more agnostic Muslims, right? Muslims or lapsed Muslims, cultural Muslims, Muslims that identify as Muslims but don't really believe. I think that's where the biggest growth is going to be. So the numbers are going to keep increasing. But for all intents and purposes, these people don't really believe in Islam. They go for, they might pray, they might not pray. They're sort of attached to Islam, they're sort of not attached to Islam. I think there's going to be a lot more people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No question. All right, let's go. And I put a comment up on the screen. Is Mohammed Hijab trying to destroy Islam single-handedly from within? I don't know. If he is, he's doing a good job of it. And if he's not, he's still doing a good job of it. Because, wow, I mean, I've been saying this for years, that if some of these younger, more aggressive Muslims start taking over and become more popular. They will destroy Islam from within. They'll bring the whole system down because, and I noticed this all the way. And we talked a little bit about this on AP's live stream a while back. That I saw way back in the day, 2005, 2006, 2007. That I knew some really aggressive Muslims, and I'd known some in prison as well. And the Muslims who got put forward as speakers and debaters were completely different. They're these nice, gentlemanly people and so on. I'm thinking, why are these guys being put forward as the representatives of Islam when you've got these far more aggressive, far angrier people who seem to be much closer to what Islam actually teaches? And realized back then, man, if those guys could ever become the public examples of Islam, it's going to change people's perception, and maybe people wouldn't be so resistant to the idea of ever criticizing Islam. Maybe people wouldn't say you're a racist if you criticize Islam if they find out it really does call for these things, if it really does call for the killing of apostates. So we're not just making that up. And so, but now it's actually happening. We have people like Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawa and Fareed and these young guys who are gaining popularity on their YouTube channels. And you take people who are already young and aggressive, and then their religion encourages them to be aggressive, and then they have a big following that's cheering on whatever they do. You could tell. I mean, it's pretty obvious what would happen, right? They would become more and more popular until they have massive popularity and have a massive crowd ready to shout down anyone. By that time, you've got the Muslim scholars and the people who want to calm them down, saying, hey guys, we have to, you have to pull back. You're embarrassing us. You're making the religion look bad. But they'll get shouted down by the mob. How dare you? You're jealous of Mohammed Hijab. You're simply jealous of Hijab and Ali Dawa and their great popularity because they're the ones who are crushing the kuffar. And now you're trying to bring them down to your level. And they would just get eaten alive. And so the public face of Islam would turn into something that looks a lot more similar to what Muhammad actually taught, so on. But I didn't think it was going to happen this fast, and now it seems to be happening. Anyway, let's go ahead.
I know. To me, it looks like it may be that Mohammed Hijab doesn't believe in Islam anymore, and he's really upset. He's really angry about this whole about Islam and about how it affected his life and how how it is everywhere. And
Let me tear it down.
He's trying to cause as much damage as possible before he gets out, and he's sacrificing us, like me and Abdullah Sameer and all these people, just because of his anger. But please, Mohammed Hijab, if that is your plan, if that is what you're doing, Mohammed Hijab, please stop.
That would be brilliant, right? If like one of you guys decided, hey, I'm about to leave Islam, you say, wait a minute. Maybe I won't tell anybody. Maybe I'll stay here, become a champion apologist for Islam, and then destroy it from within. That would be epic. That would be epic.
He's doing a good job. He's doing a fantastic job. Mohammed Hijab, keep going.
All right.
Well, Mohammed Hijab seems more like a fundamentalist than anything. I'd say Yasir Qadhi is the one that has doubts in Islam in some level, some deep level. He knows that some of this stuff just doesn't make sense. And he's in the rabbit hole far more deeper than even Mohammed Hijab. I mean, he spent 10 plus years of his life studying it, and his whole life is dependent on Islam. Like he does khutbahs, he does Umrah tours to Saudi, to Mecca. I mean, everything he does is coming from Islam. There's classes he teaches, Al-Maghrib seminars. I mean, he'll lose everything, and people would probably try to kill him if he openly left Islam. And I'm not saying I know for sure that he has left Islam, but clearly the doubts are massive enough and he just can't keep it to himself. Like he keeps leaking, like what he really feels to the public. He just can't hold it in.
There might be this entire mob of apostates behind the scene, united. Here's how we'll do it. Yeah. You can't bring us. We can't just leave Islam because they'll say that we did it for money. But if we stay within Islam, look, Hijab, you do a little interview with me, and I'll let it slide out that there are holes in the narrative. We'll let that go for a little while. Then Hijab, you go absolutely insane and start talking about golden showers, right? You do that, and then Ali Dawa, you start talking about killing all these apostates and stuff. We'll keep doing that. Does that work? Yeah,
I feel like Mohammed Hijab is just so. He's probably like there's this video of him that Abdullah Gondal found, well, I think it was Introverted Smiles found, and then Abdullah Gondal watched it, and he admitted he's having migraines. He said he's been having migraines for a while now. So I feel like he's kind of losing it. He's, the stress of being the man that, caused this like huge wave. And actually people are apostatizing because of this Quran thing. It's no joke.
Didn't he even say that he's getting migraines when he talks about this, or when he talks like this or something? I think he said something more to the migraines, but that it is somehow connected to talking to the critics of Islam or the apostates or something like that. I don't know. It might be totally untrue.
I mean, he's stressed out. I mean, to be honest, this whole thing was brewing. Like, if you watch his interview, he said the number one question, this has been going on for 4 years now, but the number one question that he had for Yasir Qadhi, which people voted on, was what were his doubts that he had at Medina, and because he admitted he couldn't resolve some of those doubts, right? And he's not the only one. I mean, Noman Ali Khan has also said that he had a friend who went to Harvard and he left Islam, or he's no longer Muslim because he said they took apart Islam, and you left, holding the pieces, and you don't know how to put it back together, and so you end up leaving Islam. So scholars know that when you go into academia, and one of my goals is to amplify academia, because I know the Christian world is a lot more open with academia, and there's a lot of research into the Bible, and that type of stuff it's okay with Christians, but with Muslims, you have people like Abu Zayd in Egypt, who even he even said the slightest thing about the Quran, and they called him an apostate. They made him divorce his wife, or they said his marriage is annulled. He had to flee Egypt. Like, this is like any academics you have, like they can't even talk about the Quran because they will be like harassed, intimidated, killed. I mean, there was fatwas put on Abu Zayd's life. They said this guy's a kafir and he's a murtad because what he said. I don't even know what he said, but from what I remember, it was pretty mild what he said about the Quran. He was just questioning something about, I don't even remember what it was, but he never said he doesn't believe Muhammad is not a prophet. Just the way he said the words of the Quran were Muhammad. I don't remember what he said, but anyways, the point is, you can't even have academics on Islam because Muslims freak out. Muslim scholars, the ones which are maintaining the dogma, they don't want that. They don't want any research into Islam. They don't want the research in Islam to come out. And so, I feel like this is kind of holding back the Muslim world. We need to amplify scholars like, Saeed Reynolds and, any academic that's doing research on Islam. I think we need to support them, and we need to find, because the truth is there. It's just people don't know it. And like Yasir Qadhi was saying, academia has been talking about these things, but the common people don't know it. So Yasir Qadhi, all he did is he just fast forwarded this process because it was bound to happen. And because people trust him and like him, and he said it, they believe him. I mean, if some non-Muslim academic Orientalist says it, then they'll be like, I don't buy that. But because Yasir Qadhi was so influenced by these Orientalists, and he admitted it, now it's just become like public knowledge that this is the reality as we know it, right? And now they're just rushing to do damage control.
Yasir Qadhi? You believe whatever Yasir Qadhi says? Yasir Qadhi goes and jumps off a bridge. You're gonna jump off the bridge? Huh?
Did you?
Huh?
You listen to that speech?
No, I saw a clip of it.
Who said that?
Hijab, when he posted a video. I haven't watched it, but I forget who posted it, but I saw someone had a couple of clips in a video.
Abdullah Gondal, I think, posted it.
You're weak. You're weak.
You're weak things.
You're never Muslim.
What kind of Muslim are you?
Me strong. Me hijab. Me strong.
He was also saying about Orientalists. He was like saying, "Yeah, I'm your teacher. I'm your teacher, boy. You learn from me, boy. I'm your teacher."
And I think he was saying, "What? You're gonna jump off a bridge because Yasir Qadhi jumps off a bridge?" He was saying something like that. It was hilarious. It's like you don't get it, dude. It's Yasir Qadhi has no reason to make up. I mean, if Yasir Qadhi is aware of the manuscripts of the Quran and he knows perfect preservation right down to the letter, if he knows that, there's no reason for him to make up and go, "Oh, nope, I can't talk about this. This is a really bad topic that we should never be discussing in public." He would just say, of course. You have these liars. You have these liars at Yale, and you have all these lying scholars and so on, but we know the Quran's been perfectly preserved, but not what he's saying. So there's no reason for him to make up holes in the narrative. And so that's why people realize, wait a minute, we got a problem here. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Mohammed Hijab's Twitter page. And we'll start seeing what's going on here.
Teacher boy.
Refute you. All right, so this is
Teacher boy.
Mohammed Hijab's Twitter page, and he is here, comparative religionist, political philosopher, author, debater. Wow, not professional tantrum thrower. Don't see it on there. Hey, Mohammed Hijab, we know you're watching. We don't see you commenting because you know you can't control your temper, but I would appreciate it if you put Grape Ape of Apologetics. That's the name I gave you a while back. All right, so I don't know what that one was. Let's go down. Let's see. He retweeted something here. Mohammed Hijab. By the way, can you guys see this if I'm reading something?
Yeah, I opened up the live. I just muted it.
Okay.
The funny thing is, he actually used the thumbnail from my video.
That's
and he
funny.
changed his thing to comedian, professional comedian or something.
Oh, that's actually classy, right? I could. Sometimes I think he might actually be funny and not this, super angry person. But so Dilly, he retweeted something here. Dilly Hussein, question: who or what is an open enemy of Islam and by extension the Muslims? Answer: any individual, group, or entity who publicly defames, mocks, and attacks Islam and Muslims without any willingness to sincerely engage.
Wrong.
Now notice. Even though Abdullah, you probably mock the least. I think I might mock the most. AP is trying to catch up with the level of mockery that I produce, but this specifically says who mocks, defames, attacks Islam without any willingness to sincerely engage. I think we do sincerely engage, don't we?
We all do.
It doesn't matter,
This guy is completely misrepresenting the position here. It has nothing to do with wanting to sincerely engage. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. If you are an opponent of Islam, if you criticize Islam in any way, that means you are an enemy of Islam. That's all that needs to be said. That's the entire definition of it. If you oppose Islam, then you are by definition, according to Islam, an enemy of Islam. All the mockery, satire, jokes, and all that, none of that matters at all. That's all just an excuse.
Yeah, I was getting plenty of death threats when I was not mocking at all. I was just giving straightforward information and debates and stuff like that, and that was too much. That was too much for them. But I mean, my goodness, recently, the thing I've been doing most in live streams is inviting Muslims on, giving them massive amounts of time, giving them 10, 15, 20 minutes. Several days ago, I gave Dr. Shoaib Syed, who's a speaker for Peace TV and a bunch of other organizations, I gave him an hour and 20 minutes, which he used almost entirely to attack the Bible. And so I don't know how you say, hey, we're not seriously engaging here when we're putting our arguments out there. We're inviting criticism. We're inviting feedback. What are you laughing at? What, did you see a comment? Did you see a funny comment?
No. It says political philosopher.
Oh, yeah. Most brilliant scholar in the world.
Oh, you're a political philosopher. Are you kidding me? Oh my god.
Sociologist.
I am an Islamic scholar.
Medical doctor.
I will put Islamic scholar in my bio now. I'm an Islamic scholar.
Hey,
that's how it works.
Hey, check out this next one here. This is Fareed. And I looked, and this is actually about me. It was funny because earlier I was instead of just scrolling through the tweets, I was going to take screenshots of them and then we could look at them one at a time, but I realized I didn't have time. But Fareed here says, this person continuously ridicules classical and contemporary scholars and yet respects the world's most infamous Islamophobe who has made hundreds of videos mocking Allah and the Prophet. So this is Mufti Abdullah, and Fareed's attack. Yeah, so what's that?
Abu Layth.
What about it?
Oh, that's his name. Mufti Abu Layth, not Abdu.
Oh, sorry. Did I say Abdu? Okay.
Yeah.
Abu Layth. So the Mufti here, he so anyway, I saw Mohammed Hijab retweeting this, and so Fareed says he's attacking the Mufti for saying he respects someone who's the most infamous Islamophobe in the world. And I was like, oh, cool. Who's the most I was like, who is he talking about here? So I clicked on it. It's like, and it's the Mufti here saying, I respect David Wood. He hasn't disrespected me and so on. And so it's funny that now I get to make a video pointing out that I am the world's most infamous Islamophobe, according to both Fareed and Mohammed Hijab, who retweeted this.
I want that title. I want it.
You're gonna have to do some work. You're gonna have to take down the big Doug. I got Fareed and Mohammed Hijab voted for me. I should go buy myself an award to be holding up.
You should. You should.
I should give an acceptance speech. Oh. All right.
You should do that. You should make a video. You should make a video. The next video. Within the next few days, make an acceptance speech for that award. Do it. Do it.
All right. We want to get to some of these comments where you guys come in. Here we go. This is one of them right here. This isn't specifically about you, but this follows a bunch of attacks on you guys here. But he says, let's see. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a bit. Right there. So he says, I call upon all of the Muslim Twitter soldiers to work within the full scope of the law to create maximum damage to the cause of Apis and his public figure with a censored. They are demoralized and on the ropes. Do not let the weak-minded Muslims deter you. Finish them. Finish them! So this is, he specifically mentions AP, but given his tweets, his recent tweets before this, that includes, who is he? I know he's
referring to me and my wife.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, as far as leading up to this, I know he posted about you, he posted about Abdullah and Abdullah Gondal, right? Was there, were there anyone else?
And also, introverted smiles as well.
And Harris Sultan
and Faye Rahman. Anyone that's like anyone that he just thinks of that goes in his warpath. I don't even know. Like I think he's just digging for content. Like he went to my blog. He's been going to. He's just looking for something. He's just looking for a fight. I think that's what it feels like. And like picking on your wife. I mean, your wife doesn't even have she doesn't even come on your YouTube channel. She has a Twitter account. Like. Does she deserve this sort of wild?
Well, he calls her a public figure. That's his excuse. He says that she is a public figure because she has a public account that criticizes Islam as well. But that is not the definition of a public figure.
If you have any account on any social media platform, you are a public figure who must be destroyed using freedom of speech.
A public figure is by definition somebody who has a significant number of people who know you, like a really significant number of people who know you, so that when someone mentions you, people know who you are talking about. My wife is just a random person on Twitter who says her opinions. She's not a public figure. I am a public figure. You are a public figure. Abdullah Sameer is a public figure. Mohammed Hijab is a public figure. My wife is not. He's making this excuse and attaching public figure so that he doesn't get in trouble, but it doesn't protect him because that's not how it works. He will get in trouble for this.
And notice the silliness here, right? It's we criticize Muhammad for a reason, right? This guy calls for our violent subjugation. We're all dead. We're all dead according to Muhammad. We're all dead because we criticize Islam. You guys have an additional death sentence because you're ex-Muslims. So everyone on this live stream right now is under a death sentence. Islam calls for the violent subjugation of the entire world, calls for a lot of horrible things. And so when we criticize Islam, it's like Muslims are saying, yes, there's this ideology that calls for your violent subjugation, calls for your death, even according to Ali Dawah. It's a guy who had sex with a prepubescent girl and took the wife of his own adopted son and bought, owned, sold, and traded black African slaves and did all of these things. But don't you dare criticize him. If you criticize him, it's just because you're evil and will go after your wife. And that seems to be the reasoning there. So notice if your AP and Abdullah, if your wives were calling for the violent subjugation of the entire world, we're calling for people to be slaughtered, and we're winning millions and millions of followers to go out and kill and slaughter for them, and Hijab said, well, we must criticize these women. I would say, yeah, you do. You should, because of their horrible teachings. But it's more along the lines of they're attached to you guys, and therefore they're fair game.
Look, what they're doing is they're saying that they have now the right to attack and harass our family members, our wives, and our other family members, including our children, because we insult Muhammad, who is very close and very dear to them, and they attack who is dear to us. But that's not how it works. It is not that. Completely putting aside the fact that Muhammad the Prophet is this big religious figure who did a lot of atrocities to the world, insulted all of us, and all that. Aside from all of that, what is happening is not that we insult their values and their beloved figure, which is why they can now insult us and our families. What's happening is that initially Muhammad insults all of us, calls us lower creatures, calls us names, calls us worst of creatures, lower than cattle, and calls for our death. We, as a response, then insult and criticize him. We don't even do half of what he has done to us, and then these Muslim apologists come and say, "How dare you insult our prophet? Now we can insult you." So that is where their logic entirely fails.
Yeah, and that's an important point, because I say that when people say, "Well, why do you criticize Muhammad?" Hey, Muhammad criticized me long before I heard who he was.
Yeah.
He was coming after us long before we ever heard of him. And what you guys are saying, what Muslims are telling us is, yes, here's this system that calls for the annihilation of your civilization and says that you guys will be killed and that your wives will become the sex slaves of followers of Muhammad, but you need to just not speak about it. When here's the craziest part, as far as I can tell. You've got, if anything in the history of humanity deserves criticism, I would say it's this. But we're not going out there and slaughtering people. We're responding in the most peaceful way you can while actually making these points. We're doing it through speech and discussing points and going through arguments. It's like, gosh, if your ideology cannot handle that, if your ideology says we're going to kill and slaughter you all, but you can't even speak out in your own defense. Guys, do you see why we have a problem with your religion when this is the message we're getting from it? All right. Any other thoughts on this? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, like some of the people out there, like for example, Mufti Abu Layth, he's not even criticizing Muhammad. He's criticizing the let's say the perspective or the image that has been created about Muhammad through, let's say, the Hadith. And he's more liberal and he rejects a lot of the Hadith, and he says these, like, Bukhari is fabricated and there's a lot of nonsense in there. And even he is considered a kafir, a disbeliever, and a murtad, like an apostate, just for not criticizing Muhammad, but just for saying the Hadith is not true. Mm-hmm. So it's like the standard, or it's just too easy to fall into this. Like, you don't even have to say anything about Muhammad. You can even just say that I don't believe that was Muhammad, and still you be considered like an enemy of Islam. Like Abu Zayd, like I gave the example Abu Zayd, and the live stream we did with Gondal on blasphemy, there was a bunch of Quranists that they were given jail sentences because they're Quranists and because they said you can't trust the Hadith. And it's just crazy. It's like, never mind criticizing Muhammad, even if you criticize the idea that Muhammad that is not really Muhammad, even that's like, that's taboo. That's considered off limits in some parts of the Muslim world.
Yeah. Well, we've even seen from Qadi. If you simply say that there are holes in the narrative, they're coming after you. And so can you imagine the pressure to conform, where any divergence from any point, even if it's obviously false, even if you've looked it up, and Yasser Qadi was saying, when he's talking about what Western scholars will point out to you, he says, and they're right because they're quoting your sources. We know they're right. They raise these criticisms and we know they're right. So you're in a situation where someone is telling you the truth. You know that you have a problem with your position and you can't say one word about it because you'll get eaten alive by the mob. This is
And that's what happened to Yasser Qadi, and that's what happened to Mohammed Hijab. They got eaten alive by the mob. Yasser Qadi, I was like, I was surprised that he took down the video. I was really not expecting that. I thought he's the type of guy that stands by what he says. And especially when it's like already all over the internet, it's kind of too little, too late. But I mean, the mobs, just imagine, like, this guy kept his video up for as long as possible. Mohammed Hijab, backtracked first. Mohammed Hijab started throwing him under the bus, saying we'll refute him and whatever, like you said. And then and then even Yasir Qadhi caved. And then Yasir Qadhi is making he's backtracking now, and he's saying, oh no, Quran is preserved, my words are being twisted, this and that. But even he wasn't able to hold up, to stand up to the mobs. The mobs are really holding back the Muslim mobs are holding back Islam. It's just that there's no two ways about it. It's just unfortunate.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, let me pull up. I had it here before in a previous live stream. I think when I was on here with Jay Smith, but after Yasir Qadhi did his interview with Mohammed Hijab, and then there was this sort of immediate backlash, and a bunch of people started using clips of the video of him saying holes in the narrative. He posted on Facebook, but he said, after a recent interview with Brother Mohammed Hijab, some missionaries and anti-Muslim propagandists have read their own prejudices into our very brief discussion. Some of them have twisted my words to suit their agenda. While Muslim scholarship has pioneered Quranic studies for centuries. This is the same guy who was saying, guys, the things we say in the world of Quranic studies from an Islamic perspective, it can't stand up to these to non-Muslim scholars. He says, while Muslim scholarship has pioneered Quranic studies for centuries and continues to do so, the fact remains that we all agree on the demonstrably proven fact that the Quran has been preserved in its entirety, word for word, and that we believe that all 10 of the recitations of the Quran and so on. But notice it's this, what's going on here is, I think, a pretty close parallel to what's happening with Mohammed Hijab. And Abdullah, you already mentioned this. It must really suck to know that you're the cause of people doubting Islam, right? That has to be rough. But notice, instead of Yasir Qadhi putting the blame where it's deserved, namely all of these people who spent years falsely claiming that the Quran's been perfectly preserved, instead of blaming them, instead of blaming Fareed for leaking the emails, instead of blaming Hijab for forcing him to come out and say it, instead of blaming himself for admitting that there are holes in the narratives, I mean, he could have just shut it down, instead of blaming anyone who's actually responsible for that dumpster fire of an interview, instead of blaming anyone, let me go after the Islamophobes. And the reason for that is to try and win back these people who are coming after him. Hey, don't come after me. Don't come after Yasir Qadhi, because I'm the one who's going to go out and refute these Islamophobes. I'm going to go out and refute the Islamophobes. And I think that's what Hijab is doing. He's catching so much of a backlash. People coming after him, hey, you caused me so many doubts, you're causing people to leave Islam with this. I think it's, well, let me go out and start a big fight with everybody, with all of the unbelievers. Let me start a fight with all of them, and then Muslims will rally around me as their champion who's taking down the Apostate Prophet and Abdullah Sameer. I'm the one taking down these guys by attacking their wives, like a real man would. And wow,
frankly,
look at what the thing says. Did you? Which one was the one of the tweets that you read earlier by Mohammed Hijab? Did you read this thing? I call upon all the Muslim Twitter soldiers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, do you see what the end of that says?
Yeah, finish them.
They are demoralized and on the ropes. Do not let the weak-minded Muslims deter you.
Yeah, someone's demoralized here. I don't know if it's the Islamophobes.
But what he really thinks, or what this text means he thinks, I don't know if he's really that stupid, but he really thinks that this is an effective way to make us submit to this mob and to stop criticizing Islam, to give in and stop criticizing Islam. He actually tells his audience, he actually makes his audience, his followers, believe that in this way they will cause harm, they will cause damage to us, and we will be demoralized and we will stop doing what we're doing, which is very strange. I have prepared many more topics that I want to do now, and I've kind of changed the direction that I was going with my videos, and I want to do some more mockery of Muhammad this week. What I want to do as a response to this is not to step back, but to come even stronger. So it really looks like he believes this is a way to end us by just trying to mob us, trying to bully us into submission. That's not how it works. I have no idea what people think you're doing.
No, And the problem with that thinking is anyone who can be bullied and intimidated, and there are people like that, right? If you heap abuse on them, then they're going to back down. They're going to go do something else, right? You find this in a lot of things that go on in the culture. As far as if you get shouted down on Twitter and you get enough dislikes, people are like, oh, well, I can't say that anymore. Well, the people who are involved in criticizing Islam, the weak people who can be manipulated in that way, they've already been weeded out. They're not here anymore, right? The people who are here respond to, if you're coming at them, they come back. And in our case, in my case, you could come up and shoot me. I'm going after your prophet, right? I'm not coming after you. I'm coming after your prophet. So the more you come after me, the more I go after your prophet. And so, yeah, he really seems to think here that, hey, if I heap enough abuse on these people and bring their family members into it, and I just shower them with abuse, well, they will come to realize that they'd better not do that to Muhammad. When in reality, it's more like, oh, you want to get dirty, do you? You want to get dirty? You want to get dirty, Hijab? Hey, Hijab, you want to talk about golden showers? You want to talk about golden showers, Hijab? Hey, I got a Quran here. You want to talk about golden showers, Hijab? You want to start a golden showers of the Quran channel? Is this where you want to go, Hijab? Do you really want to go this route? That's more how things are, right? You want to escalate? We can escalate. We can escalate. We can blow the roof off this place without escalation. All right, go ahead.
Something disturbing. I really don't want to say this, but I feel like I'm going to share something disturbing, just a disturbing idea. I personally found it disturbing. I don't know. But since these people think they can simply, mob us into submission, I was really, Ali Dawah did say stuff about marrying off his 9-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
I recently, I was going through things. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I encountered a child, and it was mentioned that the child was 9 years old. And then immediately, because of the stuff that we are talking about, when I heard that, my brain made some connections, and what came up was just this disturbing thought. I just kept thinking about what just looking at a 9-year-old kid, what a 9-year-old kid looks like, and then I started thinking about Muhammad, and I started thinking about people who actually make excuses for Muhammad marrying a 9-year-old child, and I started thinking about Ali Dawah, for example, who we have footage of him, who clearly said that if his daughter reached the age of 9 and started having menstruations, he would tell his daughter that she was now ready for marriage. And he said he thinks this is not very absurd and not very bad, because he wouldn't force his daughter to marry, but he would just only tell her that she's now ready to get married if she wants to his 9-year-old daughter. And I don't know, I just want to tell people, these people really want to talk about morals and want to attack us and want to defeat us and humiliate us. But think about the stuff that these people are defending. Think about the prophet that these people are defending. Think about how when you see a 9-year-old child, a 9-year-old girl, think about Muhammad and think about Ali Dawah. Muhammad had sexual intercourse when he was older than 55 with a girl who was 9 years old. Ali Dawah is someone who lives today in 2020, who tells people, if my daughter reaches the age of 9, I will tell her that she's ready for marriage. Ali Dawah actually says that he would be willing to marry his daughter off when she is 9 to an adult, to an older man, and allow that older man to have sexual intercourse with his 9-year-old daughter because she is now ready for marriage. He would be fine with that.
And
he would be morally fine with that.
You could put it together with what he said elsewhere recently, that, and if you have a problem with that and you condemn it, well, you're an apostate now, and we're going to kill you in Islamic State.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
If you condemn that, you are an apostate, and you will be killed for that. You should just accept the idea that a 9-year-old girl, a little child, should just be in a sexual relationship with an old man. And if you find that disgusting, if you find that awful and horrible and immoral, then you should be recognized as an Islamophobic apostate who probably deserves a death penalty under his ideal state, which he apparently is completely allowed to say with his checkmark on YouTube.
Abdullah?
I wonder if this is just like something he's saying, but if he actually had a daughter, he would reconsider. Like, I know that,
I hope so.
like when you actually have a kid, you have this like very strong paternalistic feelings, especially as a man, as a father to his daughter. And he might be saying these things now, but we know that in the world, the most common reason for child marriage is actually poverty. So, he might, the condition he added was if she menstruated. So he's kind of equating that with adulthood, which is, it's silly, because obviously a woman that's 9 years old is not, usually would not be physically able to have a baby, and she would there's a very common condition that happens in Africa for women that get pregnant, young girls that get pregnant, which is called a fistula, where she gets like a hole inside her, and then she can't hold herself from using the washroom, and then the only solution for that is surgery, which they can't afford. So these poor women get kicked out of the homes, and they have to live by themselves in shame and misery. So we know from science, from what we understand from biology, that even though a woman, like a young girl, could physically get pregnant, it's not good for her. It's not good for her well-being. It's not good for her. I mean, she's a child. I mean, in every other way, like mental maturity, she'd still be a child, even if she can. And maybe at some point in our evolutionary history, like, we needed to have kids young so that we would survive, and a human species would continue to exist in very harsh conditions. But we're past that now. We want to improve the lives of young women. We don't want to. They're not chattel to make babies, right? And I wonder if Ali Dawah, if he really reflected, if he actually had a daughter, but at the same time, I mean, who are the ones doing the the FGM? It's usually the women, right? It's usually the Muslim. I mean, the women, the older women are usually the ones who do FGM to their daughters, not the men. So the women are the ones who actually implement this in many cases. So I don't know. I don't know if Ali Dawah would reconsider if, his humanity and his parenthood, his would overcome his religious teachings, because I know a lot of time on Speaker's Corner and stuff, you get heated, you start shouting at each other, and your ego becomes very big, because he's insulting my prophet. No, I'm proud of this stupid religion, and I'm proud of this stupid rule. But deep down inside, if it actually happened that he had a child, I don't know if he would really do that. And if he did, that would be a shame. That would be a real shame for humanity. But that's what that's what these things do to you, is these religious teachings, they twist your mind, and they allow good people to do bad things. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know if he changes his mind when he has a daughter, but if he has a daughter, then Child Protective Services should be there to regularly check on the daughter to make sure that everything is okay. Definitely.
Yeah, because I mean, think about this, and this really goes back to some of the reasons that we criticize Islam. It kind of forces you, if your intention is to justify Muhammad's deeds and to defend the honor and integrity of your prophet, then when it's pointed out, hey, little girls are not fit for sex, and they come up with it. One, I don't believe for a second that Aisha had reached puberty. There are too many sources saying that she hadn't, and the Quran says you don't need to anyway. So that's just a false red line that he's added to try and make sense of this in his mind. But even if we were to grant that Aisha had reached puberty, and as soon as she reached puberty, well, she's ready to go there. That's the position of lots of these Muslim apologists now. Abdullah, you're pointing out something along these lines, but puberty is a process. It's a process that takes several years, right? You have some initial signs that puberty has started, but over those next several years, that's when a girl's hips and birth canal widen so that she becomes ready to give birth. She can get pregnant. Before that, it's not safe to get pregnant before that, right? Because that baby has to come out. And if you still have the pelvis of a 9-year-old girl, you could be in a lot of trouble, and you could actually die from that, right? So they're saying, It's this mindset, old enough to bleed, old enough to breed. And notice, that is bad. It's bad for girls. It's bad for society. It's bad for civilization to adopt that thinking. And yet Muslim apologists are running around saying it. And if we say one word of criticism, guys, that is bad. That has been causing massive harm for many centuries. It's causing harm in places in the world today. And it needs to stop because it's doing massive damage. You guys are racists. You're bigots. You're Islamophobes. That's the only explanation. That's the only possible explanation for why you would think that it's bad for 54-year-old men to be climbing on top of 9-year-old girls. There's no other explanation. It has to be racism. You can't have another reason for saying that.
At 9 years, your brain development is not even remotely there to actually to have a proper mind that is ready to exist in this world and that is ready to make actual proper decisions in this world. Your brain development continues; it goes on till your mid-20s or close to the 30s. That's how long brain development lasts. And people really think that a child that has the brain development of a 9-year-old would be ready to get married and to take on these big struggles in life just because she started having a one tiny little aspect of her sexual development, which doesn't mean she's ready to have sex, but just that
it means you jump on her.
It means you
jump on her.
Yeah, I think you explained it really well, David. Like the whole thing about puberty being a process. And I think that's why what we see now is we see some Muslims saying that Aisha was not 9. It's not because of her not being 9, but it's because it's so unpalatable that they just can't acknowledge such a possibility that Muhammad was with a 9-year-old. I mean, obviously there's an older set of excuses, which is, she was actually more mature because of the conditions or whatever. But now they're just straight up saying she wasn't 9. Like Mufti Abu Layth is one of these people. Oh, no, she wasn't 9. She was 18. She was 21. I mean, Yasir Qadhi actually talks about that in his Sira lectures where he says, he said, the reason why this is happening is because of the general morality now around child marriage has changed. So Muslims are, and to me, this is a sign of Islamic reform. I know people may not call it that. But when people are saying that Muhammad didn't marry a 9-year-old, and so, or if they say that that was a special exception for that time, that's Islamic reform to me, and I think that's something that we should actually encourage. Now, at the same time, I do think it's dishonest, and I think that the evidence leads to, the hadith by Aisha herself, if you're a Sunni Muslim, in the strongest collection, which is in Bukhari, if you don't accept that, then I don't know what hadith you believe in. And in that case, I don't even know what religion you're following. You're not Sunni Muslim anymore. But if you're a Sunni Muslim, then you have to go by the hadith. And in that case, Aisha was 9. So you have to make a decision which way you want to go ahead with. Do you believe in the hadith or you don't? If you don't believe in the hadith, then Islam is pretty much gone. Yep. Quranist Islam is, I don't even know what that is. But if you go by the hadith, then, but this is what they're doing now. The cherry picking and they're trying to kick. I don't know what they're doing. It's to me, it's intellectually dishonest, but it's better for the world. It's better for the world if they think that Aisha was 18. Are you time traveling, Ridwan?
Yeah, I'm space time traveling.
Yeah, I actually.
But there are many holes in the narrative. That's the issue.
There's a video clip when Shabir Ali was being interviewed by Mufti Abu Layth, and Shabir said, "I just came to realize that a 9-year-old girl isn't ready for marriage." So he just flat out said it. A 9-year-old girl is not ready for marriage, and so
yeah.
Yep.
And
that's a good realization. Yeah.
I don't even want to use that word, but
don't use it.
At 9 years old, it would be rape. It wouldn't be consensual. It's just a 9-year-old cannot understand what she's getting into. So it's
unless your Farid responds, in which case, as long as her parents consented, how could you call it rape?
Oh my God!
You remember that? Farid responds.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
It was something like, I think I have the entire quote, and it was something along the lines of, I don't understand why these Islamophobes misrepresent me, something like that. How could it be child rape if the parents, if there is parental consent?
Yeah, awesome point, champion of Islam, who also leaked Yasir Qadhi's emails. Wow.
Because Yasir Qadhi is misguided. You see these extreme Salafis, and the interesting thing is, just to make that distinction, all of these people that are attacking us, and attacking our wives, these are all Salafis, and Farid is Salafi, Yasir Qadhi, Dawa Man. Yasir Qadhi is probably the most least Salafi of them all. Yep. But all of these guys that are doing all this damage, these are the fundamental. These are the ultra. I don't know if you want to call them ultra orthodox or whatever, but their religious piety is making them cause this damage. Farid thought he was doing a good thing by exposing Yasir Qadhi.
Yeah.
He thought he's saving the ummah from the fitna or the misguidance of Qadhi, but in fact, it had the opposite effect. More people left Islam because of that.
That's how smart he is.
Yasir Qadhi is trying to save the ummah by like slowly watering down these things and get. Whereas Dawah Man is like, I see you, I see what you're doing, and I'm not gonna let you do that.
Yeah,
you're a fake, you're a fraud. You think Shia is a Muslim? You fraud. You need to go back to how you were back in University of Medina when you said those Kafir, Shia, Rafidis, they say Rafidi, which is like an insulting term for Shia. That's the Yasir Qadhi they want back. They want this pretty much bigoted Yasir Qadhi, the fundamentalist. They don't want the academic Qadhi. They want the fundamentalist Qadhi to come back.
And with both Yasir Qadhi and Shabir, it was kind of obvious what they want to do, right? They're understanding that Muslims are massive. Your average Muslim is completely out of touch with some basic facts, and that it's the non-Muslims who are exposing them to these facts, and that people are going to leave Islam over this unless we start easing them into reality. And so they wanted to start easing them into the idea that there are some different versions of the Quran and so on. And then, people just jumped all over them. It's no, you have to just keep Muslims completely isolated from ever seeing any of this. You can never acknowledge that it's there, and you have to shout down anyone who points out the facts and how they completely contradict what we're saying. And so you need attention. You need attention, Apostate Prophet. It seems like you need attention over there.
I think I cannot. I need to be the center of attention. I cannot take this for too long, not to be talked about.
I want to say one more thing. Mm-hmm. I think what Yasir Qadhi is trying to do. No, I have to be the center of attention. You know what I think Yasir Qadhi is doing? I think he's doing what Hamza Soitis did with the scientific narratives. I mean, that's what I think he was trying to do, but it didn't go well. It didn't go the way he wanted to. But what Hamza Soitis did is he admitted, like after two atheists refuted and totally ripped apart his book, Embryology in the Quran. They wrote a book called Embryology in the Quran, Much Ado About Nothing. Yeah. And when they did that, he finally realized that, okay, this is not going well, and I might as well bite the bullet and just accept it. And that's when he started saying, okay, guys, there are no scientific miracles in the Quran. So he was a thought leader there. He was like, there's no scientific miracles, which shocked people because everyone's, Zakir Naik to this day is still saying, scientific miracles. I think Yasir Qadhi wanted to do the same thing with the Quranic thing. It just didn't go the way he wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, and think how much differently we would be perceiving him right now if instead of that Facebook post where he decided to go on the offensive against Islamophobes, the only ones who had nothing to do with that exchange and so on. If instead of that he had simply calmly posted a video or posted something on Facebook saying, guys, I know you're all really panicking right now because I said that there are some holes in the narrative. Guess what? There are. If you've been taught that the ahruf are simply dialects and that the kirat are, guess what? There are some issues here. And if we're people of truth, then we should want to be aware of those. And even though I've lied to you in the past, even though I've been telling you perfect preservation since the time of Uthman, even though I've been telling you that, it's not right. And I just can't keep doing this anymore. And therefore, anyone who is flipping out on me right now, and condemning me, you're actually condemning me for being willing to speak the truth. And guess what, guys? This is the hill I'm ready to die on here. I'm gonna tell you the truth about the Quran. I still believe in the Quran. I still believe it's the Word of God. This doesn't have to destroy your faith, but we can't keep lying about this book. And he would have all of our respect for being willing to do that. Instead, I'm going to destroy the Islamophobes. Hey, the Apostate Prophet live from the Hajj.
From the Hajj. I came here to do the Hajj. And
did you go for Hajj before?
Me? No, I didn't.
Umrah?
No, I was offered Umrah after I left.
Because you're not
Islam,
because you weren't a real Muslim.
I was not a real Muslim to begin with, so I couldn't have gone. But
I couldn't afford it. It was so
after I left Islam, there was this my boss, who was a very rich guy, wanted to do this thing. He wanted to organize Umrah for several people that he thought were good people who should go to the Umrah, and he offered it to me, and I was like, no. He was like, come on, it will be good, it will be great, we will be all together. I was like, nah. I don't know. I was very frustrated about Islam because it was just all very fresh. I had just left Islam, but I kind of feel like maybe I should have done it. I should have
That
gone
would have been
there.
cool.
Yeah.
I
Especially,
don't know if you'd have enjoyed it
especially if you
didn't
decided, especially if you'd wanted to destroy Islam from within.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
All right, let's read a few more of messages. Especially want to try and get down to some of the ones that have to do with you guys. So now the next one is actually relevant as well. Well, I mean, gosh, the original one we just looked at. Do not let the weak-minded Muslims deter you. Finish them. So he's calling on the Muslim community. Now notice, guys, if we did something parallel, we would have to say, and to be clear, I'm not saying this. I'm not saying do this. But if we wanted to do something parallel, we would say, all right, all of you who are watching, we want you to take all of these horrible facts about beating women into submission and sex with prepubescent girls and all of these horrible things that Islam teaches. And every time you run into any of we want you to look up all of these Muslim scholars, look up all their wives and so on, look up everyone that's connected to them, and start throwing this in their faces and saying, hey, you woman, how would you like it if you were the third wife or fourth wife? How would you like it if your husband brought in a sex slave? You're allowed to do that. And according to Mohammed Hijab, we should just be doing this all day long as a method. That's what he's calling people to do right now.
Yeah. Ali Dawa called it academic harassment. Oh, sorry, he didn't say it. What did he say? Academic question. What? I don't know, like academic harassment, basically.
He said something like, when we academically destroy you, or like, I don't know what you're talking about. The guy doesn't even know what academic means.
He's saying these these offensive, crude, vulgar, sexually explicit questions. He's calling that academic questions, but it's harassment. It's just straight up, like, it's not. The reason I didn't respond to Mohammed Hijab is there was no intent to dialogue. It's just straight up, like, he's just flooding this nasty stuff because he has no desire to engage. He's just what's it called? Gip galloping is a word for that.
I think you just made up a word.
What was that? Gip galloping?
Let's check out this next one here. This is relevant as well.
Gish galloping. There's a word like that. You can look it up.
I don't believe you. I think you just make it up.
I swear. Rational Wiki has it.
Rational Wiki.
Yes, as everyone knows, this is slubglobbery. It's in the dictionary.
You have a good collection of pictures of the Kaaba. Like, you must secretly be a Muslim, Ridwan.
I am. Yeah.
Mohammed Hijab said, I reject as unsatisfying and illusory the claims that the Muslim community may be targeted through the guise of freedom, but not afforded the same right to mock and disparage the agents of this great drama. We will continue till you choke on the thunderous word of Allah.
Yeah. He really thinks he's doing something here. Yeah.
Oh my.
He really thinks he's doing something. He thinks he's having an impact or something. I don't know.
Hijab, do you really not get it? My goodness, do you really not get it? So look at what he's saying here. Okay.
He's not stupid, but he's very stupid.
This is like the most stupid nonsense I've ever heard in my life. He's saying, I have the freedom to do it. Of course, you have the freedom to do all kinds of things. It doesn't mean you do it, right? Like I have freedom to, make golden shower videos about your Quran. I haven't done it yet. But I could be compelled to do it, right?
I'm drinking a lot of water right
to
now.
To make a point. I could be compelled to do that. But so notice the reasoning here. Well, if you guys have freedom of speech to criticize a guy who had sex with a prepubescent girl and called for the violent subjugation of the entire world, and convince people to follow him by promising them an eternity of deflowering virgins, if you have freedom of speech to do that, then I have freedom of speech to mock and insult your wives. Well, guess what? You do have freedom of speech to mock people. You do have freedom of speech to attack people's families. You do have, not physically, but you do have freedom of speech to do these things. But what you have to understand is there are these things called repercussions, right? There are consequences. We live in a world where there are consequences. And if you if you decide to do certain things, well, there can be consequences for these things, right? And that's what he doesn't. That's what he's not seeming to get right here. Of course, now, I realized this when I was a little kid. They say, "Oh, you can't do this. You can't steal." Well, no, I can steal. I can steal. It can be done. It's just if I get caught, then something will happen to me, right? So as long as I'm willing to accept that thing that might happen to me, well, no problem, right? So I can do it, right? And so yes, you can do it, and as long as you are willing to bring much greater abuse upon your prophet and upon your book, then of course you can do it. Of course you can do it. No, there's nothing stopping you from, constantly attacking everyone's wives and so on. Nothing stopping you if you're willing to accept the endless abuse on your book and your prophet that this is going to bring about. So I don't know why he's saying, but I have freedom of speech to do this. Of course you have freedom of speech to do this stuff.
The guy doesn't understand what freedom of speech means, David. He has this problem. I saw that raised before in a different video that someone made about him, but he really doesn't understand the concept of freedom of speech. When we say that that Islam should be criticized, that we should have the right to criticize Islam, and that there should be free speech about this, by which we mean we should be able to say this without being punished for what we say. What he thinks is that. Is that you can just say whatever you want without anyone being offended by this. That's what he thinks. That's what he thinks we mean.
Yeah,
that's how he thinks free speech works. He doesn't understand the concept of free speech, and that's why I'm making so much fun about the fact that he calls himself a political philosopher. Because if he has any idea about philosophy and about politics, then he should be understanding what freedom of speech stands for, what kind of a philosophy that is, what that entails, what it means. But he has no clue. He doesn't understand the concept itself.
I do notice that there's being pushback. Like a lot of the posts he's making. I was going to say a lot of the.
We lost your video for a second, so I didn't know where you went. Oh. Okay, go ahead.
I'm here. Yeah, I was going to say a lot of the tweets he's making, you'll see there's two different types of people, Muslims. One group is saying there's Muslims who are saying Apostate Prophet, this guy managed to make you lose your shit like this, you really need to react like this, and on the other hand. And he's defending it, and he continues to do it even more, and he's doubling down. And then you have his fans were basically, sorry about that. And then you have his fans who are saying, "Oh no, they deserve it. They attacked us, so we're gonna attack them." And I think the average age of these fans is probably 14. Seriously, the way that people drawing donkey pictures of me and saying ex-Muslim and this and that, I think these guys are actually teenagers. There's no other way to explain that these people think they're actually achieving anything by drawing pictures of us like this, and they think this is actually going to convince people to become Muslim. There's even Muslims saying, I saw a Muslim that defended me in that video that Mohammed Hijab did with Fayaz, saying this is a despicable thing you're doing, talking about this guy's so Muslims are actually and then yesterday Asadullah in his live stream, he said that think about people that are having doubts, young Muslims that are having doubts, on the fence about Islam, and then they're seeing you. He didn't mention Ali Dava, but he said they're seeing you making videos laughing about killing apostates and saying, we kill apostates. We're proud of the fact that we kill apostates. He said, what do you think these young Muslims who are having doubts are going to think? They're going to leave the religion completely, because they're like, what kind of nonsense is this? And it's true. People that are already on the fence and they see this sort of behavior, and that's what Cosmic Skeptic was saying too, that, instead of reporting this guy to the police, let's just amplify what he's saying, because he's doing our work for us. He's actually making it so clear. And instead of these things being underground, by underground, I say what I mean is whispered at the mosque, and khutbahs, and we should kill apostates. Not we go out and kill apostates, but that's the ruling, and we justify that under Islamic law. This is the way it should be done. It should be done. Well, no, now it's out in the open. Everybody can see just how rotten this fruit is, this religion. Everybody can see it, and so they're doing a job for us. And so all we need to do is just amplify it, and we just need to let them talk.
I sympathize with the idea of letting them speak and of letting them have their, letting them expose the religion and their attitude for what it is. But the issue is that it can't be accepted. I mean, there is a price that we are paying for that. there is a price that we are paying in letting these people expose what Islam is and what their behavior is. The price that we are paying, what we are risking, is that it is normalized, accepted as normal, that people simply speak like this, that people simply do this stuff, that people actively harass, including sexually harass people, and that people call for people's death, that people justify death, that people indirectly incite violence. We are paying the price of risking that to become the norm, to remain unpunished, and that's not something that should be done. As much as I think, yes, these people are accurately representing Islam, so let them just do it, I think we are normalizing something that can never be normalized in a proper society.
I'm with Abdullah on this one. Let's let me go and bring up this comment here. So
your opinion is invalid if you're not agreeing with me. So
Jeffer45er says, David, does the general in you love the fact that Mohammed Hijab is showing his true colors and the fruits of Islam? Absolutely. The only thing that ticks me off slightly is that with certain personality types, I can tell you exactly what they will do in various situations and exactly what's going to happen when they run into various situations, especially with people like Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah, because I had years of observing them in prison. Not those two guys specifically, but those personality types, right? The prisons are filled with those kinds of guys and so on. And so once I realized that Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah were gaining popularity, once I saw the personality types, it was obvious what was going to happen. It was, completely obvious what was going to happen. And it was, these guys are going to get more and more popular. As I already pointed out, they're aggressive. Their religion encourages them to be aggressive. And these guys do not have the wisdom or the humility to deal with having hundreds of thousands or eventually millions of followers cheering on whatever they do, no matter how obviously stupid it is, right? They don't have the maturity or the wisdom to deal with those kinds of things, and therefore it's going to go to their heads. They're going to keep doing more and more. They're going to get to the point where they're doing some of the stupidest things anyone has ever done, and their followers are going to cheer them on, and no one can do anything about it because their followers will then shout that person down. And what will eventually happen is, once the scholars and the more respectable apologists start trying to rein these guys in, those guys will get eaten alive by the mob. We'll have a new true face of Islam bared to the world, and people will look at that and say, all right, David, Apostate Prophet, Abdullah, we get why you guys are going against this stuff, and now we get it. We're not going to stand in your way anymore. Please crush this ideology, right? That's how things are going to go. But this was all at least a couple more years down the road, right? So notice, I haven't been posting criticisms of, Abdullah, I know your video isn't showing, but I think you might want to leave and call back or something like that, because I'm not sure why that is.
Okay. Call back. You can hear me though, eh?
We hear you fine. And for a minute ago when you started speaking, then you came back up. But
okay, I'll call you back.
Okay. And so so I took it as obvious. What was going to happen, that once the public face, is that you back?
Yep.
Nope, still no video. Oh, now you're sound. Oh, there you go. All right, we'll see if you stay on there. So once you have a new public face of Islam, and Islam loses this sort of shielding that it gets from the media and from politicians and from journalists and from educators, once everyone stops protecting Islam from criticism, I think it will just fall to pieces. So that I took as completely obvious, but I didn't realize how quickly these guys were going to implode, right? Like I thought he would eventually destroy the scholars. But keep in mind, I based all this on meeting these guys once and then watching like 3 videos from them. It was like, oh, I got these guys pegged. I hear an echo of myself.
Oh,
right, put your headphones on. You're ruining my video.
that was me.
Yeah, so basically, once I had those guys pegged as here's what's going to happen, I didn't realize they were far less psychologically stable and far dumber than I was aware of, right? Because they're basically imploding faster then it's like if you have a star and you say, oh, look at this giant star, and here's the rate at which it's going to collapse on itself eventually, but your calculations of the mass were off and of its age were off, and so you didn't, whoa, it's happening much faster than I thought. That's kind of what's going on. These guys are collapsing into black holes right now, and it's ticking me off because I had very, very clear and precise plans, which is why I haven't been making responses to Mohammed Hijab even when he says some dumb stuff, because I wanted him to grow in popularity. I wanted to take out everyone else and just leave them with Mohammed Hijab, Ali Dawa, Fareed Responds. Leave them with these guys. That's why I haven't been going after these guys. Leave them with these guys. Take out the Zakir Naiks and the Shabir Alis. Take out all these guys, and then leave them with these guys, and then watch the entire movement implode on itself. Then, but they just kicked it into high gear, man. They're like, no, we need it. We can't. This can't be 5 years from now. This has to be right now, 2020. We have to destroy ourselves. And so it's kind of ticking me off, man, because I had big plans for these guys, and now, no, I don't know, man. What do you guys think?
The thing is, I feel like Mohammed Hijab is a very good representative of the true face of Islam. He is like Muhammad in a way. He's like his prophet. He has the name. He has the attitude. He has everything. He has the broom and all that. But the thing is, it's not just Mohammed Hijab. I think if you get the average Muslim who is who really cares enough to believe in the same thing that Mohammed Hijab believes in, and who really wants to go out and do dawah and do Muslim apologetics, then the people that you will get as a result will end up being people like Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawa. I think it's very likely that you will get such people. I think the problem of the past was just that the people who would become popular, the people who would become popular Muslim apologists, were people who were qualified in a way, who were scholars, who were educated, who had a certain degree, who were pushed because they were part of certain institutes or organizations, or because they had media attention. Whereas today we are in a time where anyone can just get attention through social media, through YouTube, which is why little clowns and idiots like Ali Dawa and Mohammed Hijab can become popular without having the approval of only the most serious groups and people at institutes in society. So these are the average people. This is the average hot-blooded person within Islam who really cares so much about spreading Islam. This is Mohammed Hijab. This is the average person. Of course, I believe that Mohammed Hijab is a little bit kind of over the top. He's even more aggressive than the average Muslim would be, because he probably has I would humbly say, I'm not here to make a psychological diagnosis, but I would certainly say that he has a narcissistic personality disorder. That's what it very much looks like, because he carries all the symptoms. He reacts in exactly that way to criticism and to failure as a person who is deeply narcissistic would react. He burns everything down, starts making a complete fool of himself, attacks people, and so on. But I would say that it is very likely that if you give more attention to the average young person who wants to spread Islam, then you will very likely encounter people like Ali Dawa and Mohammed Hijab. Mm-hmm. These are simply I think people are, this is actually the good thing about it, or maybe also the bad thing about it. People have a very false impression of the average Muslim society and the average young religious Muslim. People have seen these calm, nice Muslim apologists in the past, these scholars who were educated in very, different certain circumstances, and thought that Muslims are like that. But now we are seeing the average young Muslim population that is aggressive, and that is simply the Muslim population that will start attacking our wives, that will start harassing us, insulting our children, threatening us, calling mobs against us, which is, and you see that. You can see a confirmation in that if you just look at the reaction that Mohammed Hijab gets to his tweets, for example. You don't see, okay, of course, we can amplify certain people on Twitter and other platforms who will say, hey, I'm a Muslim and I don't agree with what Mohammed Hijab is doing. But those people are very quiet, and they are very few. It's a very tiny minority of people who actually say, hey, I completely condemn what Mohammed Hijab does. It's a very tiny minority, and they are very quiet, very silent. Nothing has happened. There has been no proper response to the very disgusting things that they have said over the last few days.
Yeah.
The vast majority of the response that they have gotten was approval.
Yeah.
Approval, or something like, I don't completely agree with what he's doing, but, stuff like that. So the majority is approval, and that is simply the truth.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of silence. I mean, I would have really liked to see an official statement from Hamza Soitis or Shabir Ali or, someone else like that has a name in Dawa, AIDA, Sapient Institute. I mean, I tagged them and I asked them, like, are you going to make a comment about what Mohammed Hijab has been saying and how he's been harassing us? And there's been mostly silence. There's been
They're their friends. They won't make any noise about that. They're their friends. They don't want to embarrass their friends. They don't want to disapprove of them.
There's definitely been a silence. But I wanted to say that isn't there a bit of a self-selection process as well? Like, when you say that these people, they're like basically the loudest, right? I mean, in a sense, that's what me and you are. We're the loudest ones. We're willing to talk about this. We have thick skins and, we have big mouths, and that's how I describe myself as well. And so I'm willing to talk about these things. And so in the same way, Mohammed Hijab, Ali Dawa, because they're, so antagonistic and they have a certain style that appeals to young people, they're able to get, that audience to grow quickly and rapidly. And people love to see a fight. I mean, everybody wants to see a fight. Everybody wants to see the favorite Christian apologist or atheist get demolished and debunked and this and that. And these guys are good at that. They're good at shouting down people at Speaker's Corner. They're good at changing the topic. They're good at making you look bad. They're good at not letting you talk. Like these type of skills, these attributes, skills, I don't know if they're skills or not. These attributes make you a popular person in this arena. And that's what these guys are good at, right? I mean, they're not necessarily what you would call like intelligent, although Mohammed Hijab is definitely, now that it's his full-time job, he's reading books on libertarianism and, secularism. And, even in his debate with Cosmic Skeptic, you could see he didn't exactly know a lot of the stuff, but he's trying, he's learning, he's doing it full-time. And the Dawah machine is funding these guys to do this full-time. So in my case, I have a full-time job. I don't do this full-time, but these people are able to do this full time, and they're able to amplify what they're doing. They have a crowd of people that love them. So I mean, it is what it is, but someone has to stand up to them, right?
Yeah, and my view is, yes, I understand why it's bad if we end up with more and more people.
I'm your teacher, boy. I'm your teacher, boy.
It's actually pretty good. I understand why it's bad to have more and more people going this route, but I believe that one of the top 2 or 3 biggest advantages Islam has in the West is that when we're bringing criticisms against Muhammad and the Quran, everyone is thinking, no, I know, I have my Muslim neighbor and he's like the nicest person in the world, and I have this Muslim friend at school and she's the nicest person. So you're wrong about what you're saying, and that's because the despite the terrorist attacks, ISIS, in spite of all these things, the public portrayal of Islam in the West is very different from what you find from Muhammad. But if we get enough people, sadly, if we get enough people going after wives and kids and stuff like that, and if that's what people run into, as much as that sucks, and as much as it would suck if more and more people are listening to hijab and doing it, I think that in the long run, in the long term, that will break that public perception of Islam. And then if they lose that protection, of their ideology, I think Islam's done. I think Islam's gone in a generation. I'm not completely gone. There would still be Muslims, but as far as it being this massive threat to the well-being of the world, I think it would be done.
Yeah, it'll be done. There holds narrative.
There's 0 holes in the narrative.
Yeah.
Let's take. Let's see if we can get back. Oops, wrong one. Let me see. Click on the wrong stuff. Oops. Let me go back here. I have a problem clicking on stuff. All right. Let's go back to.
I'm being a clown here. People are pointing it out. I'm very sorry. I think I had a long day. I'm tired.
Yeah. AP's like, yeah, let me go on the live stream with you guys and try to be as much of a distraction as possible. Whenever you guys are talking about any important point, I'll have a golden shower over here, and that won't be a distraction at all, right? And it's fun. What's funny is he's talking about Mohammed Hijab having narcissistic personality disorder and needing constant attention, and he's over there trying to distract everything. All right, couple more comments here. When insult and mockery explodes like a nuclear bomb in the playground of freedom of speech. Look, he's describing him insulting people's wives as a nuclear bomb in the playground of freedom of speech onto the faces of those demented fools whose original impetus is to mock and disparage the Muslim community and their symbols. One may say there is a pathetic irony in their cry for help. Pathetic irony, and he's responding to the Apostate Prophet here. Oh my goodness!
I'm currently preparing a video.
Isn't this what?
I will call it the end of Mohammed Hijab. I'm preparing it. I think it should be out at the end of this week. I don't know. He's adding new stuff. I've been very busy dealing with Al-Dawa's death justification for my death and so on, and I'm making it ready. It will be pretty good. And I will clearly demonstrate that this guy has absolutely no idea how basic philosophy works. So when he's here talking about how freedom of speech explodes like a nuclear bomb in the playground of freedom of speech, whatever, mockery and insult. So he has no idea what any of those words mean.
The nuclear bomb is me attacking your wives. This is the nuclear bomb of freedom of speech.
I'm your teacher, boy.
And notice the real goal. It's to make people stop appreciating freedom of speech, so that we won't use freedom of speech to criticize the most obvious false prophet in history.
Good luck with that. Learn what freedom of speech means first, you idiot.
He has a way with grandiosity, like big, making everything into a big giant thing. And it's interesting that he's complaining about this, but isn't this what these like jihadi groups do online?
Yeah.
Like cyber bullying and cyber like false flagging of videos.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is exactly what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, in this case, and the difference is even your videos that were taken down didn't actually have any bad content in them. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, the one where you're talking about Christian persecution. In this case, these guys are actually talking about killing people, and I still think that these bad ideas should be allowed to be spoken to the point, unless they actually say this specific guy should be killed, or if they say that this, there's definitely a red line that they're getting very close to crossing. I don't know if they've crossed it yet, but for sure, if they're breaking the rules of a platform, we can use that, right? But in the other cases, we're not even breaking the rules. They're just abusing the system in order to get us, taken down. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, terrorism is not good.
Yeah. And let's see here. And then when they are handcuffed by their own arguments, and when the meteor of Mohammed Hijab crashes into the planet of their free speech, resulting in the supernova, turning into a black hole of freedom of speech.
He's trying to write a Quran or something.
And their masters... Oh, check this out. And then... Hey, now we have the masters thing here. And then when they are handcuffed by their own arguments and their own masters, spit at them in disregard, and they are humiliated in front of the Muslims in a secret mental climax. What the heck is this wrong with this dude?
You're finished.
Takes place.
Finished.
You're done, boy.
He should write anime or something.
Done, boy.
Seriously.
Finished.
Yeah, he could be a One Punch Man villain with giving a speech. Takes place
exactly
in the very core of their hypocrisy, since they secretly admire those who they mock. So I guess that's him. You secretly admire Mohammed Hijab, guys. They admire my rugged manliness.
He's doing this whole thing. He's doing this whole game about how we ex-Muslims are traitors and we are Uncle Toms, we are sellouts, and we are sucking up to our white masters, like our white men who are our masters. Like in his idea, this is a good reflection of his mind. This is actually he's really projecting upon all of us how he views society. Mohammed Hijab views society in such a way that he is supposed to be either inferior, and at the current moment he's inferior to the white person in whose country he lives, or he will be superior to them. And his idea is that we ex-Muslims have accepted the inferiority and become slaves to our white masters, whereas he and his good Muslim army and his Dawa people are doing the tough thing. They're going the tough way. They're the right way. They are being courageous and they're being strong men who will fight the white men. He even made a tweet on that. If you go further down, you will see he said that he will confront our white masters. He's talking to us apostates. And someone asked, who are the? No, he said, while we confront your masters. And someone said, who are the masters? And he said, liberal white men. So he's viewing it as that. There are the white people, there are the apostates, and there are the Muslims. He is the strong Muslim. We apostates are the slaves to the white people, and he will go and crush the white people with his ideology. But this guy lives in the kingdom.
I'm laughing at the comments here. Check that. KL says, it's hang on, it's covered up by our video. KL says, "What's a mental climax?" and then Michelle Shabo says, "Mimi is freaky." So they're commenting on his weird. What in the world? Wow, golden showers. Gosh, what a weird dude.
Scared of me.
Oh, now we actually got to Mrs. Apostate here. All right, so Hijab says, now we're getting to the wives. When these anti-Muslim attention whore Islamophobes, when these anti-Muslim attention whore Islamophobes need to get on their knees in intellectual submission before they are whipped. Before
he
they
loves this BDSM theme, eh?
Before they are whipped
loves it.
and lashed and chained up against the wall. By freedom of speech, by the Twitter Muslims, and they reluctantly open their mouth in protestation to find they have been defiled by the truth. Hey, listen, he said all of this imagery here, whipped by freedom of speech by the Twitter Muslims. So you guys are being lashed and whipped by the Twitter Muslim, and you reluctantly open your mouth in protestation to find that you have been defiled.
No, look, it is actually worse, and it's hard for me to speak this out. To be quite honest, but he's referring to my wife. He has a screenshot of my wife. And
oh no!
What he's doing here, the imagery that he's intending to put out here, is that my wife. Look, he's covering, he's veiling it all in such a way that it is relevant to Islamophobia and the war between the critics of Islam and Muslims. But what he's implying here is that when these anti-Muslim attention whore Islamophobes, meaning my wife is the attention whore, need to get on their knees in intellectual submission. He adds intellectual to make more of an implication of it, to make it more veiled, before they are whipped by freedom of speech by the Twitter Muslims. So he's implying here that the free speech by all those tough Muslim men, while my wife is getting on her knees in intellectual submission, and they reluctantly open their mouth in protestation to find that they have been defiled by truth. I don't want to speak this out, but I guess everyone gets the imagery of what he is trying to make here, the imagery that he's trying to present here. And this guy is speaking about my wife. He's speaking of himself and his entire Muslim community on Twitter. What this guy is doing here, dear Muslims, dear very morally sublime Muslims, is that he is implying that you tough Muslim men are here. My wife, I will speak of her just as a woman. A woman is here going on her knees, and all the proud Muslim men are going and sexually violating her all together. And my wife is letting that happen to herself. This is what is being implied here. This is the imagery here. This is your morally sublime religion. This is what you stand for, Muslims. All of you Muslim apologists. All of you Muslim apologists out there who are normally so loud about people who seek their freedoms, who are so loud about what schools teach, who are so loud about when hijabis take off their hijabs, when women seek their freedom, when people say the mildest things about Islam, when Trump issues a travel ban, which should be issued for all of you, for all of your pathetic countries. When you are outraged about these things, and you are all silent here about this, all those people who work with Mohammed Hijab, who have worked with him, who are still with him, who are still friends with him, all you people who are quiet right now, you hypocrites, this is what you stand for. This guy is talking about rape. This guy is talking about the imagery of sexual submission of my wife to this big Twitter mob. This is what this guy is talking about. This is what you Muslims, all of you Muslims who have engaged with these people, who have been part of this whole discourse, of these whole conversations, and who have said nothing about this. This is what all of you perverted bastards stand for. This represents all of you wicked perverts.
Wow, that's disturbing. I really do think that a lot of people don't. I mean, I didn't understand that until you explained it to me. I think a lot of people are just totally lost with hijab. Like, he's in his own world here, and he's saying a lot of shit. He's making up a lot of nicknames. There's so many nicknames that I can't even keep track of who's who anymore.
They're mental slaves to the sexual perversion that the 7th century savage has created. They are mental slaves to this, dying and drowning and being hungry, being starved in their sexual starvation, that they let this out in such a violent, hostile way. It is disgusting.
I don't know. I think whatever you did, I mean, you've exposed hijab for what he really is. I mean, I can't take any credit for, like, I know he's been attacking me and he's attacking Gondal and Faye and your wife and everybody else, but the main target of all of this, the main one is you. Yeah. Because I just came back from vacation. I was on vacation for 2 weeks, and I didn't even barely go on Twitter when I was on vacation. I came back, I retweeted one of Gondal's tweets of Mohammed Hijab, and then he went crazy. And none of this this all started. I don't know how you managed to piss him off that bad, but what you've done is you've
all I've done is I asked him for a debate on Islam.
Oh yeah,
that's all I've done.
How dare you?
That's what happened.
This is what happens. This is what you get. This is what you get when you challenge him.
You unraveled him like nothing else. Like, he's completely, totally lost it. And in a way, we have to thank you, because nobody else managed to accomplish what you managed to accomplish. He's just gone completely.
I have made him crazy. I haven't actually done anything. All I have done is not be humiliated, not be humiliated, and not be bullied and submitted by his disgusting, awful behavior. All I've done is just to respond, to push back, to bully him back, which he does to everybody out there. And people usually step back. People are quiet. People ignore him. They don't want to give him the power. I didn't do that. I just responded to him. I bullied him back. I called him a coward. I called him a loser. I called him an idiot. And
I don't know if I would call that bullying back. I would call that standing up for yourself.
No, I would bully him back. If he bullies me, I will bully him back. I'll do that. I say that.
I believe in bullying.
I did it back. I did that, and I didn't drive him crazy. All I did was expose what he actually is by simply standing before him.
The comments are awesome. 50 Shades of Hijab. What a freak! Wow. So guys, we have this, and here's something that's interesting. Of course, we haven't scrolled down to the comments that are dealing with Abdullah's family, but just along these lines, to show you what a creep this guy is. Let me go ahead and get rid of this comment here.
I will continue what I'm doing, by the way. You can try to bully as much as you want, you genius.
Yeah,
I know you're watching.
I wanted to pull up. Where is it? And okay, yeah, Mohammed Hijab actually did one of these posts about my wife, but then took it down within a few seconds. He posted it and then took it down within a few seconds. But a Muslim took a screenshot of it instantly, because he was sharing these things and so on. And then he asked why you took it down. So let me see if I can get this up here. So this is hey, I just noticed I'm wearing the same shirt that I'm wearing now, even though this is years ago. That's how long I keep my stuff. So this is Mohammed Hijab says, Mary Wood, David's wife, a public figure who has her own content. Here she is between two men. So notice, because my wife is in the middle seat, Hijab posts, here she is between two men. Between two men? Ho ho! You know what that means in Islam. If you're between two men, ho ho! So that's what so for some reason Hijab took this down.
This is the sick mind of Mohammed Hijab.
Instantly. And AP, so we have that post with me. We have this post against you, which me and Abdullah, we didn't catch on. This is all directed to your, see, look. Guys, I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to do here, guys, because Look at this. Wow. So many chapters I could pee on if Mohammed Hijab is really obsessed with these golden showers and so on. Guys, you don't understand, right? What do? Yeah, I make fun of your prophet, but I make fun of your prophet because he's, as far as I can tell, the most horrible person in the history of humanity. That's why I make fun of him. And I make fun of him because I believe it's a peaceful way of responding to a horrible person, right? It's a peaceful way of responding to a horrible person. I don't want people killing and slaughtering. I don't want people killing and slaughtering over this stuff. But look, so here we have Holy Quran. Hijab, you're the one who's saying, they're criticizing Muhammad. They're criticizing the Prophet. Therefore, we will attack their wives. Dude, you seem to think, well, they did it, therefore I can escalate. And you seem to think that we can't escalate. Are you serious? I'm an escalator. Put me in a mall because I'm an escalator, dude. that's what I do. I just wait for you guys. But look, my goodness, what is this? Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness, look. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's a little light there. Look at that. Surat Al-Fatiha. You guys see Surat Al-Fatiha here? Surat Al-Fatiha, man.
Yeah.
Good job. Do you really think we can't escalate? Do you? My goodness. Do you really think that you want to go this route? You think, he made Islamicize me. He made the boom boom room. Dude, I will buy the domain pissonthequran.com if you keep going down this road. And every single thing that happens, I will say, this is because this is Mohammed Hijab. He's putting us in this direction. Hey, Mohammed, you like to spit, right? There goes Surat Al-Fatiha. Want to keep playing with me, dude? Next time I'll actually swallow the surah, and you know where that'll go in 2 days. You know where that'll be in 2 days. You want to go this route? And you Mohammed Hijab fans who are watching this right now, I don't want you to, whatever you do, I order you not to remember that the next time you're reciting Surat Al-Fatiha during your prayers. I order you not to recall me chewing up and spitting out your surah. I order you. Don't do it. Don't remember that every single time. You really want to go, Hijab? Because here's the thing. Hijab, you and your fans, you think like little kids. You think like adolescents. Oh, we'll make fun of them. Oh, we'll make fun of them, right? I think like Lex Luthor on crystal meth, okay? You don't want to, come on, you don't want to mess with me. You don't want to mess with me, dude. I'll do it. All right, what do you guys think?
You got, that's how they do ruqya, so you must be cured of your jinn now, of your magic spells on you and all your evil eye.
I feel way better.
If you swallow the Quran, that means a fire can't touch you, right? Because that part is blessed now. So maybe you're partly Muslim now after you eating Quran.
Oh my god!
Oh wow!
You have the Quran in you now.
Now what are you gonna do?
I didn't expect that at all.
That's what's so funny when he's like, when my nuclear bomb blows up. And I'm thinking, dude, my 4-year-old could have thought of something more creative than what you just did right there. Let alone me, man. I could dial it up, dude. I could dial it up.
Dude, you're like Aisha's goat.
And notice, guys, don't get mad at me. I mean, Aisha's goat did worse to your Quran than that. But I mean, what he's saying earlier, right? What he's saying earlier. We read the tweet. If you were here earlier, we read the tweet where he's saying, and I encourage all of you to go out and harass these people, harass their families, harass their wives, right? He's encouraging his followers. Hijab, we can do that too, right? We could say, I'm not going to say it, but I mean, I might say it later, but I could say, guys, everyone send me your videos of you urinating on various chapters of the Quran so that I could put it all on my website, pissonthequran.com. And I want everyone to take video clips of these and put them on Twitter and start sharing them with every one of Hijab's fans. Everything Hijab posts, share it with all of his fans and all of his followers and keep bombarding them, right? You'd think, are you serious, dude? Are you really? Is this how, this isn't where I want to go. right? You see where we go. I like doing live streams, having Muslims on, having discussions and so on. Hijab, you're the one saying, well, if you're going to criticize the Prophet that calls for your death, how dare you? How dare you? We will go after your wives. Great, dude. You want to dial it up? Dial it. Start dialing. Get me a phone because I'm a dial.
What does it taste like, David? What does the Quran taste?
The Quran tastes like fermented cat urine. And look, Mona Lisa just said this is the only way to respond to a sick person. Yeah, that's true, right? If you try to reason with someone like Hijab, he just interprets it as weakness, right? The Hijab personality. And just to be clear, I know we have Muslims who watch who aren't like that, who do not approve of that. This isn't for you, but people like Hijab will use you as shields, right, for their behavior. They will want to be as horrible as possible, and then rely on you to shield them from a blowback, right? So they will say, you can't respond to us with hostility because then you'll hurt the feelings of these nice Muslims that you want to get along with. Right. Well, I do want to get along. I do want to get along with Muslims. But that doesn't mean people like Hijab get off scot-free. So, Muslims, this is up to you to rein him in and to tell him you need to stop this because we do not want this. Guys, this is something that not one of Hijab's fans really seems to understand. You guys have the most sensitive, delicate, fragile ideology in history. I've never seen people who deal with criticism less effectively than you. Everything, they're destroying us. Everyone's a bigot. Everyone's coming down. We can't take it. Our prophet. Right? And so let me get this straight. You guys have this ideology, and your brilliant dawah idea is, hey, let me start a war with everybody, a war of massive insults. We'll win this one. We only have the most delicate, fragile ideology in history. Are you serious? This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But guys, by all means, notice I haven't said one word about Hijab not doing any of this. I think it's hilarious if he goes this route. I think, Matt, my goodness, man, what is this guy doing? If he convinces thousands, nay, millions of people to start really blasting away at the Quran and Muhammad, that's a job well done, Mr. Hijab. Go ahead.
I had no idea that we're going to get here with this whole.
Look, I wasn't going to do that. I was just going to, I just gave some general warnings about, we could do golden showers. Then when you explain, whoa, he's actually talking about he's giving imagery of tying your wife up against a wall and sexually abusing her and things like that. Whoa, I got to eat a surah on that one, man. I got to chew up a surah on that one. We'll start doing. Look, I'm gonna watch his Twitter page. If he keeps posting along these lines, we'll just have it. We'll take requests, guys. Which surah you want to see me eat next? I'm gonna chomp on it. I might even get some people's pets in here. You want to see someone come along, chew up a surah.
Dear Mohammed Hijab, that Quran verse, that Quran page will come out. It will come out. David Wood will have to go to the toilet later. Yeah.
Look at it. Okay. Look, speaking of someone who needs attention, Shamoonian here, Sam Shamoon. Dude, can you guys stop already? You're so boring. I want to hang myself with my shoestrings. Man, you guys make ugly a crime. Wow. All right, guys, should we be wrapping up here or?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Someone said earlier, someone made a super chat, like Emiri, somebody said, from the Jews. If you want to make a super chat from the Jews, you shouldn't be making it to David Wood. You should be making it to ex-Muslims. Ex-Muslims are the ones who should be funded by the Jews. So if you want to support someone, with funds, you should come and support me if you are a Jew. I'm waiting. I've been waiting for the Jews forever. They just don't appear. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Yeah.
Renee says Surah 33. Yes, that would be that would be a good surah to chain to a wall and defile.
Ooh. I wrote a verse earlier, David. I created my own holy book verse for the first time. I wanted to share this with you to ask you if you find it beautiful. You could even view it on my Twitter page if you go there, if you want to recite it for yourself. But it goes like this. Are you ready?
Ready.
It goes like this. They think they can stop you from speaking the truth by attacking and trying to intimidate you. Say, indeed, you are cowards who fear the truth itself. Never will you stop us from speaking out. Apostate 9:29.
Beautiful.
Now, Surah 2, verse 23 says, if you are in doubt as to what we have revealed to you, write a surah like it and call on your witnesses besides Allah if you are truthful. And so
you are my witnesses. What do you say?
I say it's way better than what I read in the Quran. It's way more clear. It's way more eloquent. The Quran is the worst book I've ever seen in my life. So I agree that it's better. What do you think, Abdullah?
What do you think?
It's good. It's beautiful for sure. Yeah, the Quran has some parts which are eloquent and some parts which are pretty terrible.
Okay, forget about the Quran. What do you think about my verse?
Oh no, it's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, I love it. Standing up for truth and not being silenced. It has a lot of the themes are powerful and poignant. Like relevant to what's happening to us. They're trying to silence us. They're trying to shut us down, and they're not going to. We're not the type of people, like you said. We've been filtered already to get to this point. We're not the type of people that are going to shut down our YouTube channels. We're just going to stop. We're just going to become quiet. No, you can do whatever you want. Like Mohammed Hijab, talking to my friends, my so-called friends from before, exposing marital, details and stuff that, I was going through back in 2016. That's not going to shut me down. It's not. I'm just going to keep doing that. I'll do it even more. It's just it's not going to work. He's just flailing wildly now. And, maybe he doesn't even care if it works. He's just an angry madman. I don't know. But he needs to check himself before he wrecks himself, because the way he's going, it's only a matter of time before he breaks the law.
I don't think
that's what I think. I mean, it's like he's getting to that point of, I don't know, like maybe he won't do it with his real name or something, but he's acting in a way that, I don't know, he's totally unpredictable. And, Muslim community needs to stop him, I think.
He has already broken the law. He has already, according to with the things that he has so far done on Twitter, he has already broken the laws of the UK. So should be careful from here on.
Yeah. And really, I mean, based on a couple of videos I had seen from him and one interaction, I was able to predict a general trajectory. But given how fast he melted down, I don't know how accurately I could predict what this guy's going to do, because he doesn't seem entirely stable. He seems to be really desperate. He seems to be really messed up over the damage he's caused to the Muslim community. And now his solution is, hey, let me get everyone making fun of Muhammad and the Quran in really, really crazy ways. I mean, just earlier today, Hatun Tash posted a video requesting people to sing songs about Muhammad and send them to her. I don't know if she's thinking the same thing, but that's kind of exactly what I would think. If Mohammed Hijab is saying, hey, everyone, come make fun of these people and their wives, the response would be, hey, everyone, make fun of Muhammad and the Quran and send us your stuff. It seems like that's the way people are going to go. All right, should we be... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, we need to I do think that at the end of the day, this is going to be the thing that will undermine his own argument from moral authority, his own claim to be morally superior, to have the best religion, the best prophet, the best nation, the best, everything's the best in Islam, right? Muslims are the best. I think the fact that he's a representative of Islam, like a self-proclaimed representative, and he holds positions in Sapient organization and Ayala and whatever. The fact that he's a public da'i, he is undermining the whole moral authority right now. And we don't see Christians acting like this, frankly speaking, right? Like, I'm an atheist.
We don't see anyone acting like this.
We don't see anyone. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I think he's destroying his own house from the inside. And he needs help. I think he needs to just get off the internet for a while and take a vacation and smoke some weed or something. I don't know, like have a drink, have some Heineken or something. I know maybe he doesn't do that, but whatever the case is, he needs a break, because he's a mess. He's a serious mess, and I seriously think that it's time to stop now, because it's like he's creating so much content for us. I can't even keep up with what he's doing, because he's just like I don't know what he's doing. It's just like I think at some point he's going to make himself untouchable, though. If he keeps doing this, nobody's going to want to be associated with him. Apparently there's a news article that he was fired or let go from some job as a Muslim teacher or something because of whatever fight he got into or whatever. And I don't know the details, but the fact is, if he keeps this up, he's making himself completely like he's blacklisting himself. Like he's going to be so untouchable that nobody's going to want to have to do anything with him, except for the fact that he sells like beard combs online. He has his own business, and like I don't think even anyone's going to debate him after what he did to Cosmic Skeptic. Matt Dillahunty was there, like saying, "You're disgusting." He said that to Mohammed Hijab. "You're disgusting what you're saying. Like what you said to Alex is disgusting." So even like everybody is seeing that this guy is so like nasty and toxic, and like what does he have left if nobody wants to debate him? Nobody wants to hire him. What is he going to do? YouTube? Right? I mean, that's all that's left at the end of the day. Then I don't know what else he's going to sell his books on Amazon. Like that's it, right? You know what I mean? So I think let him keep doing this. He's ruining his own name. And what else can we say, right? We don't want him to. I don't want him to ruin his life. But if he's going to ruin everybody else's life in the process, I mean, he's an adult. He knows what he's doing. He's responsible for it.
I definitely think he should stick to running a big beard oil business. I think it would suit him very well. Yeah, but yeah. Now that we have also promoted the smoking of weed on a Christian channel, I think we can slowly call it a night. I don't know.
It's just a suggestion. I didn't say you have to do it. I don't think weed is the worst thing in the world. It has its pros and cons for sure. One thing it does is it calms you down. I don't use weed regularly, but once in a while. It's legal here in Canada, so you guys need to come down to Canada.
I thought you got the clue, man.
I do think many Muslims would be better off if they did smoke weed and just take a chill pill. Seriously, like it's just, just like breathe in the good ass prana, as my wife says. Just take a chill pill. Seriously, that's what he needs to do.
Yeah, Mohammed Hijab should go into a big beard oil. Big beard oil. Okay, anything else?
All right.
Wait, I want to do.
Don't do drugs, kids. If you're a kid, don't get into drugs.
Don't listen to Abdullah Sameer and his promulgation and his atheistic defense of all forms of drugs and paraphernalia.
I don't think there are kids on David Wood's channel. All people who listen to David Wood's channel are adults.
Okay.
And specifically old people.
When we made Islamicize Me, we were a couple episodes into it, and people started sending videos of like 7 and 8 year old kids reenacting scenes, and I was like, oh, I did not know that kids were watching it. That affected how I edited some of the things, because I was like, oh nope, I can't have this in here because nope. So apparently some kids do. Watch this stuff.
Strange.
Don't do drugs, even weed. I mean, stay away from drugs. Just be clean. Get your life in order. Clean your room, as Jordan Peterson says. Do something good with your life. Get a career, get a hobby. Don't become a stoner and just sit on your basement all day. Do something with your life. I mean, frankly speaking, I'm just kidding around about the marijuana. I'm not actually telling anyone to do weed.
Yeah, I think the point of all that was Hijab needs to do something to calm down. Else. He needs to do medication because really, I mean, he's gonna destroy himself. And I thought he was gonna have a few years of building up a mass of followers, that he was going to destroy many more Muslim scholars along the way, that he was going to, not quite single-handedly, because, he'd have some help from Ali Dawa and, Fareed sharing people's secret emails and stuff like that, and that these guys were going to destroy their ideology without realizing it. And right now, he's basically going to turn himself into a joke and not be of any use to anyone. Certainly not to his own religion, but he's gonna make it to where he's not even any use to us, and that would be the real crime here.
Yeah, and I just to Ridwan. Honestly, this is a lot to take in, like all of this stuff that he's doing. I know the last 2 days myself, I was, I don't want to say overwhelmed, but like annoyed and thinking a lot about some of the stuff that was said about me, and take a break too if you need it. Just like go and do something else. And I know it's hard because it's just like when someone's talking about you, you feel this injustice, you feel this sense of being wrong because, and the type of abuse that you have been getting, I'm only now getting it. Like I haven't been exposed to this level of insanity before, right? And it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter how you speak, whatever you say, nicely or not nicely, eventually you're gonna be in the target of these Islamists, and that's just the way it is. So if you need a break, we're here, we support you. Your content is, it is hard hitting. I do get all the time messages from people saying that Apostate Prophet, his content made me, leave Islam or reflect on some things, and eventually I left Islam. So you're doing good work. It's just, take time for yourself as well, and and I'm giving that advice to myself as well. Just stay away from the stuff when it gets too toxic. Take a break, and come back to it when you're ready. Nobody's going anywhere. We're all here. We're all still going to be here waiting when you come back. So,
thank you. Well, to be honest, going through these last few days with Mohammed Hijab bullying me and humiliating me on Twitter and YouTube and making me feel very inferior. On top of that, Al-Dawa also coming out and saying very bad things about me. I was on the verge of giving up everything. I thought of deleting my YouTube channel, closing my whole Twitter account, Facebook account, closing my Patreon and everything, moving away, changing my name, going into working at Walmart and stuff like that. I was close to I was on the brink of all these things. But in the end, I got my courage together, and I thought maybe I can convince Mohammed Hijab not to be so tough on me, and maybe I can convince Ali Dawa not to be so mean to me, and to maybe convince them that maybe I should be alive, maybe that I shouldn't be killed for the things that I do. So I'm just hoping right now that they will leave me alone and won't make me sad anymore, and won't make me cry at night because of their mean behavior. I've also called my parents and cried to my mother about how Mohammed Hijab has said very bad things to me, and also called me an Islamophobe, which hits me very hard. I don't know why that is happening. But yeah.
I'd like to take some clips of just that stuff and then put those on Twitter and say, you see, you guys are winning. You guys won.
I have to
all that, but you won't go back to Islam, eh?
No,
that's the missing part.
I have to be very honest. I have to be very, very honest. I appreciate your sympathy very much, Abdullah. I appreciate your support very much. I appreciate all the support that everybody else has given me over these last few years. I've gotten an insane number of messages and emails by people saying, "Hey, this is just for support. Hey, you're doing great. We are all here with you," and all that stuff. But seriously, at some points, I feel a little bit stressed that I'm actually sitting here and dealing with these things. But to be very honest, I don't feel that I don't feel angered. I don't feel weak. I don't feel sad about any of this stuff. On the contrary, I actually, even though some things that he says are very terrible, and I just get mad over the fact that stuff like this can be said by somebody. Not that it is said to me or said about my wife, but that somebody can actually say these things and get away with it and get the approval of so many people. That fact makes me much more mad than the fact that he says these things to me and tries to bully me, which doesn't work. I have to say something. I'm very strong in front of everything that is happening here, which is not because I'm strong, but it's because I decided to debate, to challenge Mohammed Hijab for a debate. And I have to be very, very honest here, and I hope Mohammed Hijab hears this. I was more concerned about having debates with other people, with much less successful people, than I was concerned about having a debate with Mohammed Hijab. I felt like I'm completely willing and ready to right now go and have a debate with Mohammed Hijab, because with many other people, it will be hard to predict what they will say, what they will bring up, what they will mention, what they will do. But with Mohammed Hijab, all his moves are so predictable. Everything he does, everything he says is so stereotypical, so predictable. It is so mindlessly stupid that over the week, actually, on many occasions, I have deliberately planned and provoked him into doing and saying certain things because he's so dumb, he's so stupid, he's so obsessed with his public image and his masculinity, which he's so proud of, and with his attitude of being a superior over women and humiliating weak men and humiliating the white people. He's so predictable that he's so easy to be fooled around, and while he's also thinking that he's being superior, that he's being the winner here. So I'm really not being bothered by what Mohammed Hijab does. On the contrary, I feel quite happy that it is me who's taking the bullet for many other people out there who would otherwise be targeted by him, and that I'm standing here and I'm taking all this stuff on me by this extremely vile person, and so that everybody out there can really see who the most popular voice of these young Muslims at the moment is, and who Mohammed Hijab really is, so that everybody can see his personality. I'm ready to take that stuff here. I'm actually glad that it went this way.
I have to say, Apostate Prophet, this, hey, I'm going to take all of this upon myself to spare others. That's a very Christian attitude of you. I have to say, guys, that's kind of a notice. I posted a video of Ali Dawa earlier this morning, and then wanted to have this live stream. But part of it was that. You can't be attacking all these guys and not be attacking me. What the heck is wrong with you, man? So I gotta toss my. You can't post an attack on my wife and then take it down. You coward! Put it back up. Put it back up so I can go to work on your Quran.
And seriously, for all those who really want to see more about Mohammed Hijab, who want to see the outcome of all of this, I am really preparing a video. And I have deliberately interacted with this guy to get as much response as possible from him. He has exposed himself in such a stupid way. He has even admitted to me openly that he didn't want to accept an online debate with me, but rather an in-person debate, which he knew I would not accept to begin with, because I offered him an online debate, because he doesn't... because he relies on his showmanship, he relies on the fact that he interacts with his audience, and that adds to his debate, because the things that he says do not carry much weight. He doesn't impress people with the things that he says. He relies on his showmanship. He clearly said that to me. He clearly said, why would I disable myself and have an online debate with you when you are not even a superior to me? You know, he admitted that he doesn't want to have an online debate with me because it disables him, because he cannot do his on-stage showmanship to his Muslim audience who has no clue what he's even saying on stage. So he's been a coward. He's exposed himself so badly, so poorly, and I will make a very nice expose, if that's what it's called, of Mohammed Hijab and his perversions, his complete ignorance of philosophy, his very bad logic, his poor understanding of religion and everything. It will be ready, hopefully, by the end of this week. Be excited, Mohammed Hijab, be scared, because at the end of it, you will be finished.
Yeah, there's no way this guy lasts long term, I have to say. All right, any final thoughts, Abdullah?
No, it's good. I think that settles it. I'm also I was hoping to release a video today, but I didn't get a chance to, about this guy slandering me, my former friend. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be out soon. But yeah, thanks for having me. It was a good conversation. We should do another one on the other stuff that you wanted to do, maybe next week, on Ali Dawa and.
I'm getting the feeling. I wouldn't, just because the Ali Dawa topic is a hot topic right now. AP, I don't know what you're doing tomorrow, but if you want to talk about that, I wouldn't mind continuing. But Abdullah, I'm getting the feeling that these guys aren't going to stop, and that by next week there will be something else. They will do something. They will be doing something else that we need to live stream about. Yeah. So that's
I'm tired of these. I'm tired of these clowns, man. I'm tired of the goblin and the broomhead. But maybe we can talk, and then I'll see.
All right. So thanks everyone for watching. We had.
Wait, I want to do one more thing. I have to do one more thing before we leave. I want to make a final presentation. I said that I wrote a Quran verse. I said that I wrote my own verse, my own holy book verse, which is called Apostate 929. But of course, with every verse that you have, there's also something that needs to be added to it, because it needs to sound good, even if the content is completely stupid. So here it goes. They think they can stop you from speaking the truth by attacking you and trying to intimidate you. Say, indeed, you are cowards who fear the truth itself. Never will you stop us from speaking out. Apostate 929. I hope you like this.
That was pretty good. It was clearly way better than the Quran, but you do need to be more like you know, but it will never stop. But you gotta hit some of that, man.
They think.
This is back. That was bad.
Dude.
You guys got to work on your singing
Dude,
voices.
I am ready to convert to apostate prophetism because that's the proof right there. Who can match that? Bring forth your witnesses, everyone in the chat, that you could produce something like that, or you have to admit that he's a prophet.
Bring forth your witnesses.
Challenge, Quran challenge met, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
Stay away from Islam.